Zhang Ju looked at Xia Ziwei and said, "Because of Ziwei. As soon as my uncle sent me here, her sister knew about it immediately and told her to come with me." Zhang Ju looked at Xia Ziwei and said, "Because of Ziwei. As soon as my uncle sent me here, her sister knew about it immediately and told her to come with me." Yi Mo looked at Xia Ziwei and said coldly, "Xia Ziwei, I'll give you one last chance. If you still don't speak up, then don't blame me." His business was involved here, so Yi Mo wouldn't be so easy to talk to. There was some killing intent in his words already. Xia Ziwei looked coldly at Yi Mo and said, "The reason why Zhang Feng had to marry my sister even though she was pregnant was because my sister has a special body. In ancient martial art terms, she has what is called a li'in body." "What?" Zhang Ju looked at Xia Ziwei in disbelief. The li'in body was an open secret among ancient martial arts sections. This body only ever appeared in legends. No one had truly seen a li'in body before. Xia Ziwei didn't even look at Zhang Ju and continued, "Ancient martial art cultivators who dual cultivate with a woman having a li'in body can reach at least the earth level, and they even have a chance of reaching great heaven state. Zhang Feng found out about my sister possessing the li'in body and tried his uttermost to marry my sister. However, there was a huge problem. The woman must wholeheartedly cooperate with the man, or else it won't work. My sister had her heart set on Mo Kong already, so Zhang Feng married only my sister's body, yet not her heart. So that's how it was?" Mo Kang's heart tightened. He suddenly hated himself for not even being capable of protecting the one woman he loved. What was the point of having this much money? He would rather have nothing if it meant he could live with Xia Ro forever. Xia Ziwei looked at Mo Kong in contempt. She looked down on him from the bottom of her heart. He couldn't even protect his own woman. The reason that Zhang Feng didn't dare kill Mo Kong was because he was scared my sister would close her heart completely. If she did, then he would stand no chance. However, after all these years, Mo Kong still lived in the Xia family. Hence, he thought of a wretched way of sealing Mo Kang's meridians, turning him into something that would never wake up. If my sister still wants Mo Kong to live, she wouldn't be able to reject his will. Xia Ziwei wiped the sweat from her head and said, "My sister knows Zhang Feng's character, and she knows his means. Turning people into a vegetable like this entails that even if you don't die of old age, you will still die due to constantly reflecting on your most painful memories. Therefore, my sister told me to build a temple for Mo Kong, putting a magic artifact inside to release the hatred in his heart so that he may live a few extra years." So that was it. Mo Kong had tears all over his face and just kept muttering Xia Ro's name. His torture had been physical, but Xia Ro had been tortured both mentally and spiritually, and here he was, all this time blaming her for her betrayal. But 20 years have passed, and Zhang Feng's patience is running thin. He thought Mo Kong had died, yet my sister still wouldn't love him. Just when he was about to lose control, his men found out about Mo Kong being fine over at Luoyu. Even he couldn't believe that Mo Kong could have been cured. He knew that this was his chance. He used this opportunity to threaten my sister. 20 years ago, he didn't dare to threaten her, but now, no matter whether he does or doesn't threaten my sister, she wasn't cooperating anyway. Xia Ziwei's tone gradually calmed down. She continued, "My sister was about to come see Mo Kong, but her actions were under Zhang Feng's control, and he didn't allow my sister to come. Yet this time, my sister had made up her mind to come. So Zhang Feng wanted Zhang Ju to bring Mo Kong back first. My sister knew what Zhang Feng wanted to do and told me to stop Zhang Ju from bringing him away." "Then what is it your sister wants?" Yi Mo asked. Xia Ziwei shook her head. "I don't know. My sister just told me to wait here. She said she would come for sure. I've been waiting for a few hours already, and you know what happened afterwards? My sister is afraid that if Mo Kong is taken away, there's no way he will ever be able to return." Yi Mo stared at Xia Ziwei and said, "But I still feel like you're lying." Why can I see in your eyes that you want Mo Kong to die as early as possible? Last time I was here, your eyes were also the same. Xia Ziwei looked hatefully at Mo Kong and said, That's right, I want him to die. If it wasn't for him, why would my sister be in this situation? This kind of garbage. How can it live for this long? Mo Kong was holding his head, muttering, Yes, I'm a piece of garbage. Complete garbage. Yi Mo ignored Xia Ziwei and kicked Zhang Ju again. So, you want a scheme for the beauty pill at Flowing Snake, right? Other than Zhang Feng, who else is thinking the same way? You don't need to ask him. I will tell you, a plain yet heavy voice sounded. Yi Mo had also already noticed that person's arrival before that. This person was very fast. There was a 200-meter distance between them, yet he appeared in a mere moment. This guy was a very bulky-looking man, had some beard, a loud voice loud, and even his actions had a certain temperament to them. 3 more people arrived a bit later than him. Other than a middle-aged woman, there were 2 women at the black level. Xia Ro. Mo Kong looked on dumbly at that average-looking middle-aged woman. He didn't expect her to come to look more emaciated and older than people of the same age after not seeing her for 20 years. That woman also stared at Mo Kong dumbly. Yi Mo could feel her body was shaking, yet she couldn't move at all. That bulky man looked softly at Xia Ro and said, Rower, I've already agreed for you to come see him once. Say what you need to say, and remember our promise. Xia Ro didn't seem to have even heard this man's words as she moved slowly towards Mo Kong. Mo Kong couldn't hold it in anymore and charged over to Xia Ro, hugging her, while he couldn't say a word. The bulky guy stared at Mo Kong with killing intent flashing across his eyes. A mortal dared hug his wife in front of him. Only Yi Mo managed to see him raise his hand, so he stepped forward and caught a very thin needle. He looked coldly at the guy and said, Zhang Feng, right? How dare you use projectiles in front of me? Before the man could talk, Xia Ro reacted and pointed at the man. Zhang Feng, what was it you promised when you came along? Why did you attack Mo Kong? You lied. Zhang Feng's face went green, and, ignoring Yi Mo, he said in a cold voice, You have the guts to cheat on me, hugging another man in front of everyone. Yet you still dare criticize me? You can forget any past deals we had. Although Xia Ro was just a tool to him, she was still his wife. He couldn't tolerate what she was doing. Cheating on you? Bullshit. Zhang Feng, you finally show your true face. Let me tell you, I never thought about going back alive today. I've already long since married Mo Kong. Look at this. You've imprisoned me for 20 years. Now, I will die with Mo Kong, and what can you do to keep imprisoning me? Xia Ro took out a red booklet and waved it in front of Zhang Feng. You dash. Zhang Feng saw the marriage certificate and almost spat out blood. Although it was a marriage certificate of the mortal world and trash to him, he couldn't tolerate Xia Ro had kept it for all these years. Xia Ro. Mo Kong called. Xia Ro smiled sadly. Mo Kong, although I haven't lived with you, we can still be together after we die. I brought this on you all these years. I promised I was going to come out and find you, but I wasn't able to. Mo Kong finally came to his senses and shakily pulled out a sealed marriage certificate from his pocket. Xia Ro, I have mine here too. We can be together forever now. Don't worry, Brother Yi said he will help me. Brother Yi? Xia Ro repeated. Mo Kong nodded and pointed at Yi Mo. Yes, this is Brother Yi. He's the one who cured me of the disease before. Zhang Feng was so angry he laughed. Even if Xia Ro immediately agreed to dual cultivate with him now, he wouldn't let a woman who had betrayed him live. You are that, Brother Yi? You asked me how I dare shoot projectiles in front of you. You dare investigate about our hidden sex? Zhang Feng's laughter stopped. There was not a bit of a smile on his face. His face was even colder than his voice, as an intense killing intent surged up. He needed to beat this person in front of him to a pulp right now. Yi Mo sneered. I also broke Zhang Ju's knee. And, of course, if my investigations show that your shabby sect dared scheme for my business, then I won't mind pulling your sect up by its roots. Who do you think you are? The Heavenly Emperor? Zhang Feng sneered. He was already Earth-level middle stage now, a master in the hidden sections. This young guy had the guts to bluff in front of him? I am not the Heavenly Emperor. I am Yi Mo. Yi Mo's voice was very calm as he looked at Zhang Feng, as though he were a dead man already. Yi Mo, Shli Mo, whatever. Do I look like I see a Yi Mo? You say you're Yi Mo? Zhang Feng suddenly stopped his rage and looked at Yi Mo in shock. Yi Mo, Shli Mo, whatever. Do I look like I see a Yi Mo? You say you're Yi Mo? Zhang Feng suddenly stopped his rage and looked at Yi Mo in shock. Only at this moment did he realize that this man had caught his flying needle. He knew all too well how hard it was to catch it barehanded. Moreover, when he made a surprise attack, due to his rage, he had neglected that fact. Now that Yi Mo said what his name was, Zhang Feng was stupefied. Plus, with the stories of Yi Mo circulating in the hidden sects, he suddenly felt scared. If this Yi Mo was the Yi Mo that had annihilated a couple of sects, then this would be the end of him. No, of his entire Hong martial sect. Yi Mo was able to make He Lu sect and Dian Song close up. It would be all too easy for him to eradicate the far inferior Hong martial sect. Zhang Feng suddenly realized that the more hidden sects went to investigate Luoyu, the less of them wanted it. This was a very eerie thing. Not to mention, considering what they had found out already, combined with Yi Mo's words just then, he would be a pig if he still didn't comprehend that Yi Mo was related to Luoyu. Zhang Feng started feeling cold sweat. He hated himself for sending a moron to investigate Luoyu, who couldn't even find out that Yi Mo was behind Luoyu. The people he sent out were all arrogant. Why would they care who was behind some mortal world pharmaceutical company? They just cared about the recipe. If it wasn't out of concern that other hidden sects would criticize him for breaking the rules, perhaps his men would have straight up interrogated them for the recipe. Compared to offending Yi Mo, Xia Ro wasn't even a problem. Might you be the Yi Mo Qinbei that hails from the Beijing Yi family? Zhang Feng suddenly became very respectful. He was sure that this Yi Mo had to be the Yi Mo of that Yi family. Whether it was true that he had slaughtered the elites of the two big sects or not, what mattered was that he had been able to catch his needle with his bare hands. Yi Mo sneered. Are you implying that if I'm not that Yi Mo, then you can kill all you want? Zhang Feng's bulky face immediately started to sweat. He knew that one misstep and his entire sect would be annihilated. Although he was cocky, he wasn't cocky to the point as to think of himself as an even match with Wu Dao. On top of that, Dian Song and He Lu had been massacred by Yi Mo, yet they didn't dare make a noise. At the same time, the people from these sects who could kill him were all too many. Now that Yi Mo's voice had turned icy, how could he not notice that Yi Mo had killing intent? He quickly bowed and said, Yi Qinbei, I apologize for my intrusion. I'm willing to accept punishment. It's not only my sect that went to investigate Luoyu, tens of other sects went as well, and there are still people there. I'm willing to provide Qianbei with intelligence as to which sects are investigating your business, and will gladly compensate for Qianbei's losses. Yi Mo flicked the needle in his hand. Zhang Feng didn't even have time to react before he felt the pain in his chest. He quickly knew that the needle had gone inside his body. Brother Mo, this person who stole your wife is yours to deal with now. Yi Mo looked at Mo Kong and Xia Ro, who were dumbfounded. Mo Kong knew Yi Mo was powerful. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to subjugate Zhang Ju and Xia Ziwei, but he didn't expect Yi Mo to be powerful to this extent. Zhang Feng was a top 3 master in Hong martial sect, but he couldn't so much as defend himself against Yi Mo. Xia Ro was also at a loss. She didn't expect Mo Kong to be capable of meeting such a powerful friend. She made Zhang Feng bring her here, planning on not living another day, yet reality far exceeded her expectations. Not only would they both be able to continue living, they could do whatever they wanted to Zhang Feng. This brother Yi was too absurd. Xia Rou had been imprisoned, so she didn't know about Yi Mo's rampage in the hidden sections. But Zhang Ju and Xia Ziwei were completely shocked. Who was Yi Mo? He was the currently most discussed person in the hidden sections. All hidden sect members training in the mortal world must avoid Yi Mo. Had become as if a written rule of the hidden sections. This legendary being didn't originate from the hidden sections. He was just an abandoned son, not that long ago. Yet today, they had seen and fought with this legendary person. No, to be exact, they had just been kicked away. Beams flashed across Xia Ziwei's eyes. Firstly, she felt surprised that the famous Yi Mo was so young, and secondly, she felt that this was how life should be. Just an I am Yi Mo could make a top dog like Zhang Feng be so scared. Suddenly, Xia Ziwei no longer felt any hatred for Yi Mo. She wouldn't have the balls to demand revenge from Yi Mo even if she had 100 of them. His madness was much talked about in the hidden sections. It was rumored that he's already a great heaven master, so no one dared to irritate him. Xia Ziwei looked at Mo Kong thinking this guy sure was lucky. He was acquainted to Yi Mo, who not only cured his illness but also helped him catch Zhang Feng. Zhang Feng, I wanted to kill you many years ago, but I couldn't beat you. You took my wife and obstructed me for decades. I know that I could never be a match for you in my entire life, and that you must be unwilling to die like this, but I have a good brother. I will kill you personally today to get revenge for taking my wife. Veins were popping out of Mo Kang's forehead. Zhang Feng's wore a lifeless expression. He couldn't use a single bit of inner qi. He didn't expect he'd have to live the hero life and die here, by the hands of someone who had never learned ancient martial arts. He remained unwilling, yet couldn't do anything. Yi Qinbei, we wish to work under you. The two black level guys guarding Xia Rou understood that things were over. If they didn't pick the right timing, perhaps after Zhang Feng's death, they would be next. Yi Mo sneered. Oh, if you want to live, then pay the price. The younger man nodded. I'm willing to kill Zhang Feng as a sign of my loyalty. The other man quickly agreed as well. Yi Mo sneered but didn't disagree. The two hurried before Mo Kong and pulled out a sword each. Zhang Feng not only died due to Mo Kong but even due to his own two men. After seeing them kill Zhang Feng, Yi Mo still didn't say anything, so they rushed in front of Zhang Ju and also killed him. Then they knelt before Yi Mo, waiting for his judgment. Such disloyal men. Yi Mo sneered. He wouldn't need these people's help. They could betray Zhang Feng, then they could betray him. But he could leave them to do things for him as long as they were under his control. Mo Kong didn't cultivate ancient martial arts and wasn't that fast. By the time he reacted, those two had already killed Zhang Feng and Zhang Quebec Xia. Rou pulled back Mo Kong, who was about to go rampant, and shook her head. Although he imprisoned me, he didn't mistreat me too much. Don't harass his body. Okay. Mo Kong listened to Xia Rou's every word. Xia Rou uttered weakly, Brother Kong, I thought I could die with you this time. But, it was as though she felt bad for not dying. Mo Kong quickly comforted, Xia Rou, why are you feeling bad? Brother Yi has given me this chance. I will make things up to you. Just live with me in this mansion from now on. Xia Rou shook her head. No. She hesitated for a long time, but eventually couldn't speak up. Mo Kong said, Don't think about it too much. We can live here, and no one will dare to do anything thanks to Brother Yi. Yi Mo didn't look at the two kneeling before him. He was also wondering, since the two have met, and all the trouble has passed, why is she still like that? Did she not like the idea of living with Mo Kong? Xia Ziwei sneered. Humph. Mo Kong, how can you still call yourself a man? My sister is worried that you won't like her after she's been living with Zhang Feng for decades. That's why she said that. Idiot. Yi Mo saw that Xiaorou's face immediately went pale, proving Xia Ziwei was right. He didn't expect Xiaorou to take it that seriously. Yi Mo came from Luoyu continent, where the women took fidelity seriously. After arriving here, he'd realized that a lot of girls didn't care. Hence, he didn't expect Xiaorou to care. Just by this trait alone, Yi Mo had a different opinion of Xiaorou. Mo Kong laughed. As long as I can live with Xiaorou, the heavens have been good to me. To me, Xiaorou's safety is the most important. Mo Kong. Xiaorou grabbed him excitedly. The reason why she liked Mo Kong, to begin with, was due to his forgiving and magnanimous heart for her. Now, it seemed she had been right. Mo Kong was still like that. Mo Kong. Xiaorou grabbed him excitedly. The reason why she liked Mo Kong, to begin with, was due to his forgiving and magnanimous heart for her. Now, it seemed she had been right. Mo Kong was still like that. More than 20 years, and still he didn't marry another woman carrying that wedding certificate with him all this time. And this was when he had misunderstood her. There might have been too much hardship between the two of them. She felt it had all been worth it. Thank you, Yi Qianbei, for saving my life. Xiaorou let go of Mo Kong and thanked Yi Mo. She couldn't call him brother like Mo Kong. She was from the hidden sects where they really cared about generation titles. But Yi Mo didn't mind. He waved his hand and said, Sister Xia, I'm brothers with brother Mo. Don't call me Qianbei. Yes, and Qianbei. Ziwei is my sister. She has a bad temper, but please forgive her on Mo Kang's account. Although she agreed, Xiaorou still didn't dare call Yi Mo brother. After all, this person was a great heaven-level master. Yi Mo took out a few normal treatment pills and handed them to Mo Kong, telling him to use it on Xia Ziwei. He wouldn't give something as strong as a Lotus Life pill to Xia Ziwei. Seeing Xiaorou and Mo Kong carry Xia Ziwei to the side, Yi Mo then looked at the two black-level warriors of Hong martial sect. I have 2 orders. If you guys can fulfill them, I don't mind letting you live. Qianbei, we will do whatever you want, they said respectfully. What they were afraid of was that Yi Mo wouldn't give them a chance. As long as they had a chance to live, they would be willing to eat shit. Come with me first. There were some things that Yi Mo didn't want too many people to know. Mo Kong wouldn't ask about it either. Yi Mo brought the two into the room and then said, Introduce yourselves first. Show me that you have value. I won't keep people without worth. The younger man quickly nodded and said, My name is Gong Yijing. I joined the Hong martial sect 11 years ago and know everything about it. I am willing to be Qianbei's spy there. Yi Mo sneered. Do you think I need a spy to annihilate the Hong martial sect? Your value isn't great. The man heard this and immediately began sweating. The other balder man heard this and said, I'm Tang Yu. I've been in the Hong martial sect for 19 years, and not only do I know the sect very well, but I also know about many other sects and their members. This time, people dared scheme for Qianbei's Luoyu company, so I'd like to investigate the matter and present a detailed report to Qianbei. Wanbei is also willing to investigate, Gong Yijing quickly said. Yi Mo sneered. I don't need you to investigate. I can still let you go, but I have a way to control your soul, and will need you to cooperate with it. When I use it, don't resist, or you will die. After I take a part of your soul, you won't be able to betray me in your life. If you do, I merely have to shatter your soul card, and no matter how far away you may be, you will still die. Hearing Yi Mo's words, they were both shocked. They didn't expect Yi Mo to let them off easily, but they didn't expect this to happen. Can a person's soul really be controlled, or even have a part taken away? They had been cultivating ancient martial arts for this long, yet had never heard of such thing. This was too absurd. Seeing the two freeze on the spot, Yi Mo said in derision. Since you don't agree, then never mind. I don't want to waste energy to take your soul anyway. It did indeed use a lot of his spirit power to take the soul, and the success rate was quite low. Furthermore, you need the victim to fully cooperate with you, but even then, there is only a 50-50 success rate. If it fails, then the victim will die. Of course, Yi Mo didn't care about their lives. Qianbei, I am willing. Gong Yijing was the first to react and said. Tang Yu saw this and also quickly responded. Qianbei, I'm also willing. Okay, in that case, relax and don't think about anything. Yi Mo instructed as he took out 2 small jade cards. He was preparing to seal their souls in these jade cards. If he had still been at the Qi gathering primary stage, the success rate would have been even lower. When Yi Mo extracted their soul, the 2 felt a sense of weakness. After seeing their soul taken away with their own eyes, they noticed a black line on the jade cards. Then, Yi Mo put the jade cards away into some unknown place. Originally, they thought Yi Mo was just trying to scare them, but now they didn't dare doubt him at all. They both had a deep feeling that if only Yi Mo shattered the jade card, they would die immediately. Yi Mo didn't expect the first time to succeed. Usually cultivators use this against mortals, and it was very hard to succeed on cultivators unless the difference in their cultivation was really high. Qianbei, please give your orders. The 2 were both anxious and didn't dare to think about anything else. This was too metaphysical for them to understand anyway. Yi Mo nodded and said, Tell me everything you know about the hidden sects and write it out. Then head back to your sect leader and tell him that I ordered you to have him send a letter in my name to all the hidden sections. Those who dared scheme for my luo, you may start preparing for their annihilation. If they can take out some things that I'm happy with, then I can let it go. But if I'm not satisfied with what they show me, or if they pretend to have never gotten word of it, then don't blame me for being ruthless. The 2 heard this and felt lucky that they got to follow Yi Mo early on. Otherwise, they would have been dead meat. They wondered how badly those who had schemed for Luo Yu at first, yet were now being taxed by Yi Mo, were going to feel and regret. Besides, there was nothing bad about serving Yi Qianbei. Look at how dominating he was. Just one word, and those hidden sects would be like obedient grandsons, gifting him stuff to make amends. Yi Mo then said, As long as you 2 handle things for me well, I won't be stingy with rewards. It isn't impossible for you 2 to even reach the earth level. I will go to Hong Martial's sect in some time, so tell your sect leader not to play any games. My tolerance is limited. He whacked them with the stick first and gave them a sweet date afterwards. Although Yi Mo knew the 2 wouldn't dare to betray him, if he wanted them to do things of their own initiative, he needed to reward them. Yes, Qianbei, the 2 said as they started thinking. In all of the hidden sects, the people at Earth level were not many. If they hadn't met Yi Mo, they would have remained black level for the rest of their lives, but now, this was their chance. Even if there wasn't any soul control, they would still try to please Yi Mo. When Yi Mo brought the 2 out, Mo Kong and Xiao Rou were already waiting for them. You 2 go first. Yi Mo waved for Gong Yijing and Tang Yu to leave. Mo Kong looked at the 2 strangely and asked, Brother Yi, are you really letting these 2 go? Xiao Rou pulled Mo Kong. She meant that this was Master Yi Mo's business, so he shouldn't intervene. Yi Mo didn't mind at all and nodded. Yeah, they grabbed this chance well. So I told them to relay a message to the Hong Martial sect. He then looked around and said, Since there's no problem here, I'll be going to investigate that jet now. Mo Kong said, Mo Ping is already investigating. I'll come with you to have a look later as well. Qianbei, I'm not planning on going back, but if there's anything you need, just tell me. Xiao Rou can still help. Xiao Rou thought that even though she wasn't strong, she had still been living in the hidden sects, and so she knew the hidden sects better than Yi Mo. She had heard Ziwei say that Yi Mo didn't come from the hidden sects after all. Yi Mo waved his hand and said, You 2 just have a good reunion. I can investigate the plane myself. If Mo Ping finds something, just tell him to go meet me tomorrow afternoon at the Bamboo Night private manor. That's where I'll be. Xia Ziwei hesitated for a while before saying, Yi Qinbei, 3 years ago when my sister told me to bring Mo Kong here, I encountered something, and perhaps it might be of use to you. What is it? Yi Mo looked at Xia Ziwei. She was a meticulous person in his opinion, so what she wanted to say would surely matter to him. What is it? Yi Mo looked at Xia Ziwei. She was a meticulous person in his opinion, so what she wanted to say would surely matter to him. Xia Ziwei organized her thoughts and recounted, 3 years ago, I was sending Mo Kong back, and because it was far away, Mo Kong called a helicopter over. When we neared the fishing island next to Hong Kong, I saw a civilian jet being a bit shaky as it almost fell into the ocean. But soon it seemed under control again, hence I didn't mind it much. But 2 days later, I saw on the Hong Kong news that a plane flying from Australia to Korea had gone missing. At the time, I guessed it was probably that plane I had seen, but I didn't really care about it then. Now, when I heard Mo Kong say that a plane from Hong Kong to San Francisco had also gone missing, it made me wonder, could it be because of the same people? Xia Ziwei was also very curious. Yi Mo's wife had actually been on the missing plane. Also, Yi Mo had married a mortal woman. She wondered what this girl would be like. She could even make someone like Yi Mo, famous among all the hidden sects, fall in love with her. Hearing Xia Ziwei's words, Yi Mo frowned. These two events might actually be linked. Do you remember anything else from that time? Yi Mo asked. Xia Ziwei shook her head. Not really. Yi Mo knew that for someone from the hidden sects, even if World War III were to break out, they wouldn't care about it, much less about some plane going missing. Yi Mo spoke to Mo Kong. Brother Mo, I'm going to investigate it. If Mo Ping has some news for me, then tell me. If not, never mind. Watching as Yi Mo left, Xia Ro sighed. If Mo Kong hadn't known a magical person like Yi Mo, they would have been over today. She knew all too well what Zhang Feng would have done. That Yi Mo is really that strong? Xia Ro subconsciously muttered. Xia Ziwei replied, He isn't merely strong. I was just casually kicked twice, but the rumors say that he can kill Earth levels like chickens. I also heard about the He-Lu sect which tried to rob him of his blood coral. That not only did Yi Mo kill everyone who participated, those who sought revenge on the Beijing Yi family also all died. Out of the fear that Yi Mo would try to get revenge on them, they even sealed their sect. Mo Kong nodded and continued. At that time, Brother Yi came to this place and cured me of my disease. I already knew back then that Brother Yi was a person of significance, and now he has indeed become a dragon. Just seeing Zhang Feng, this bastard, acting like a coward in front of him made me feel good. MHM. For the first time, Xia Ziwei agreed to Mo Kang's words. She said, His Luo Yu is very incredible too. I heard of the effects of the beauty pill. You can tell by the pill he gave out today that he's a pill master. However, the beauty pill is too short on supply. I wanted to buy a few bottles last time, but wasn't able to. Mo Kong waved his hand. Of course, Brother Yi is amazing. Before his Luo Yu had even started up, I invested 200 million. All I really wanted to do was to repay him for saving my life. I gave him a small creek, yet he gave me back an ocean. Now, Mo Family Corporation is a partner of Luo Yu. If other people knew of this, they would be willing to invest even 2 billion. For the first time, Xia Ziwei didn't look at Mo Kong contemptuously. She felt that Mo Kong had a pretty keen eye for judging people, thinking that he was a partner of Luo Yu now. Xia Ziwei for the first time spoke to him, nicely as she asked, Then could you get some beauty pills? Mo Kong looked at Xia Ziwei in dissatisfaction. I'm the CEO of Mo Family Corporation. Our corporation partners with Luo Yu. So, Do you think I can get my hands on some beauty pills or not? I can get a few hundred bottles, much less a few. Really? Xia Ziwei had a surprised and joyful look and quickly called out, Brother-in-law, you must help me get some. She didn't even realize the change in title. Hearing her sister call, Mo Kong brother-in-law, Xia Ro looked at Mo Kong softly. Although they had experienced so many years of hardship, she had chosen the right person. He was a man worth loving. Yi Mo had been in Hong Kong a few times, but wasn't really familiar with the place. Each time he came here, he had had a clear purpose. Yi Mo remembered Uncle Pei's rice noodle shop, which had cost him his life because of the Detang people. Although Yi Mo had annihilated Detang, Uncle Pei could never live again. So this time, Yi Mo wanted to check out his shop and reminisce about the man. At the same time, he wanted to see if he could find some clues in the most chaotic place of Hong Kong. If not, he would just go to the airline company. Miao Pu was indeed the most chaotic place in all of Hong Kong. As soon as Yi Mo got there was a youth with his body full of blood charging out with two men with hacking swords chasing behind him. It was obvious they wanted the youth's life. Yi Mo shook his head. By the time the police would be here, the youth would already be dead. Of course, Yi Mo wouldn't care about such a thing. He just walked towards the streets of Miaopu, but showed no intention of moving aside. Many onlookers looked at Yi Mo as though he was an idiot. In Miaopu, fights happen every 3 to 5 days. Normal people would all dodge away. It wouldn't affect you normally, but if you were an obstacle to their fight, then no matter what, there was always a chance they would get mad at you. Yi Qinbei, save me. This youth suddenly stopped in front of Yi Mo and bowed down asking for Yi Mo to save him. Yi Mo looked at this youth who had been hacked quite a few times and asked strangely, Who are you? I don't seem to know you. The youth breathed and quickly said, I'm from the Ocean Gang. Because I was investigating the missing plane dash, the youth couldn't finish because the two had already caught up. They came in front of Yi Mo and didn't say anything. They just raised their hacking swords, chopping towards the youth, while another person pulled out a triangular spear and stabbed towards the youth's back. They were going to kill him, disregarding Yi Mo's presence. Yi Mo kicked out, and the two men were kicked to the ground. They both spewed blood and couldn't move again. The reason he had been so merciless was because this youth had been investigating things for him. The youth who was bathed in blood looked at what happened in shock. What's going on? Yi Mo asked coldly, bringing him back to attention. The youth gasped and quickly explained, Yi Qinbei, not too long ago, my gang leader asked me to investigate the missing plane incident and the passengers on it. All of our gang members moved out. I happened to hear these two talk about a missing passenger on the plane in a park, and after noticing them, I followed the two to a private mansion. I was caught then, and they started hunting me. Yi Mo stopped the youth from talking, hoisted the two men from the ground, and said, Call a taxi and take me to that old mansion. Yes. The youth immediately stopped a taxi. Although the young man was covered in blood, the taxi still stopped and seemed to know that if he didn't, the consequences would be very serious. Yi Mo flung the two inside and ordered the youth, Continue. The youth told the taxi driver the address and continued, As soon as I got there, I heard a couple of Japanese talking. Just as I was about to show my head, I was caught. They started to hunt me, but luckily I was trained in athletics. Otherwise, I would have been caught up by these two bastards. My gang leader had showed me Yi Qinbei's picture, so that's why I recognized you. Thank you for saving my life. Yi Mo nodded and understood. Using the gangs was much more efficient than the government. How many people were involved in gangs? Even those who had a proper job were secretly in triads. With an order like that, it was like ordering the entirety of Hong Kong. This was different to some government search notice. Even if some civilians did know a couple of clues, they might not dare say it, but those in triads didn't really care. This wounded youth had been lucky and happened to hear the right news. It wasn't that far away, and soon they had arrived. Yemo took out a recovery pill for the youth and went on to hold the two men in his hands as he walked to the old mansion. As soon as Yemo entered the mansion, he knew it was empty. As soon as Yemo entered the mansion, he knew it was empty. When you came here before, were there a lot of people? Yemo dumped the two men to the side and asked. The youth replied, I saw 4 men at the time, including these 2. 4? So there were at least 2 who ran away. Yemo kicked the 2 awake and was ready to interrogate. The 2 said something, but it was in Japanese. Yemo couldn't understand it. Seeing Yemo frown, the youth immediately said, Yichimbe, I'll find someone who can understand them, so that you can ask questions. Yemo nodded, but still said, no need, just get someone to drive over and bring the 2 to West Sand. Then you may find someone who can understand them. I'll follow soon. Yes, rest assured, Yichimbe. Wang Xiaoxi, promised to finish the job, the youth said in excitement. Hearing that it was a personal order by Yichimbe, the Ocean Gang's car came very fast. Wang Xiaoxi and another youth carried the 2 men into the car and went to the Bamboo Night private manor. After the 2 left, Yemo went inside the mansion himself. This old-styled mansion wasn't common in modern-day Hong Kong anymore. It had a few rooms and was very tidy. Yemo walked around and saw nothing suspicious. After searching a few rooms, though, he found a small black sun symbol in a very hidden place. Other than that, he found nothing. Yemo scanned his spirit sense into the ground and quickly found an underground bunker. There seemed to be a lot of things in there that hadn't been taken away. Just as Yemo wanted to go in, his spirit sense revealed some timed bombs at the corners of the bunker. There were just a few seconds left before explosion. Although this ordinary kind of bomb couldn't take Yemo's life, it wasn't a simple matter being blasted by bombs all around him. He might get hurt. The moment he saw the bomb, Yemo quickly charged out of the old mansion. Rumble. As soon as Yemo came out, the old house went up in flames. Yemo's face looked bad. He suddenly realized he had made a mistake. He had underestimated this entire thing. What Wang Xiaoxi had discovered wasn't some minor hideout, yet they just didn't care. These people were resolute enough to immediately retreat and blow up the mansion. What did this mean? This meant that these people knew he had rescued Wang Xiaoxi and was coming back. As soon as Yemo understood this much, he knew things were bad. Wang Xiaoxi was in danger. The 2 Japanese guys he was bringing along were probably, in fact, 2 timed bombs as well. Yemo quickly turned invisible, speeding on his flying sword towards Western Sand. Not too far away, Yemo noticed Wang Xiaoxi's car and felt a little relieved. Just when he was about to stop Wang Xiaoxi's car, he sensed some danger. Immediately scanning his spirit sense out, he found that 100 meters away, there was a car following closely behind them. More importantly, the person sitting in the front had an RPG aimed at Wang Xiaoxi's car. These people were crazy. They actually dared use rocket launchers in civilian places. Shoot it quick. The HQ is gone already. There were 3 men in the car. The one talking was the middle-aged man sitting in the back, also speaking in Japanese. Yes. This man just spoke one word before sinking down. At this moment, the 2 realized that there was 1 extra person in the car. No one had seen when he'd gotten in. Who are you? When did you get in? The middle-aged man stared at Yemo in shock. Yemo rejoiced. Someone who understood Chinese. The driver had fast reactions, pulling out a gun instantaneously, but before he could fire, he was knocked out by Yemo and dumped onto the back seat. The middle-aged man was also knocked out. Soon, the car changed directions and stopped at a construction site. Yemo stopped the car and dragged the 3 men out. At this moment, he realized that the middle-aged man had a black sun tattoo on his neck, 2 out of the 3 understood Chinese. Under Yi Mo's interrogation, they revealed everything. The 3 were all Japanese and had been sent from a very large organization in Japan, the Black Sun Empire. Their goal was to find out the whereabouts of all great scientists. Yi Mo finally knew why the plane had gone missing. There was a professor called E.I.A. Stein on the plane, which was why the Black Sun Empire hijacked the plane. Ning Qingxue just happened to be on it. Moreover, Yi Mo also found out that the plane that went missing 3 years ago was also due to this organization. As for why this organization abducted so many scientists, Yi Mo could guess that as well. No wonder they guarded their secret so heavily. If this spread out, the entire world would be their enemy. However, Yi Mo also found out that a very beautiful girl had jumped off the plane halfway. Yi Mo knew that girl would probably be Ning Qingxue. His heart was burning with worry. He didn't know if Ning Qingxue had a parachute on at the time because normally passenger jets didn't have parachutes. However, the one Yi Mo captured obviously didn't know if the plane had one either. Seeing that he couldn't get anything more out of them, Yi Mo turned them all to dust. As for abducting the scientists, Yi Mo wouldn't care. Even if they took all the scientists in the world hostage, it had nothing to do with him. But how dare they abduct Ning Qingxue? Yi Mo had listed the Black Sun Empire in his must-destroy list. Yi Mo just hoped that Ning Qingxue had had a parachute. But even if she did, the passenger jet had been flying very high, so her chances of survival weren't huge, but this was better than nothing. Yi Mo was no longer in the mood to investigate. He had to find Ning Qingxue immediately. Yi Mo got to Western Sand as fast as he could and found Wang Xiaoxi standing at the door in distress. The 2 men were already dead. They had probably committed suicide by now. But now, their death wasn't important anymore to Yi Mo, Yi Qinbei. Wang Xiaoxi was full of guilt. Yi Mo waved his hand. You did very well. You can come with your gang leader when the meeting starts. Wang Xiaoxi was shocked by this huge fortunate event, yet Yi Mo had already walked in. Gang leader. Wang Xiaoxi looked at the man behind him in excitement. When Yi Mo came over, he had his head even lower. They had screwed things up. Only when Wang Xiaoxi called him gang leader did he came back to his senses, grabbing Wang Xiaoxi's hands in excitement as he said, Xiaoxi, it's all thanks to you this time. Don't worry, this time Yi Qinbei will reward us. I will definitely treat you well. You did great. When Yi Mo walked into the main hall, he noticed that Zhao Biani was here. Zhao Biani had kept constant notice of this place. So as soon as Yi Mo had appeared, he had gotten the news. Yi Qinbei, why did you come early? Yi Mo told Zhao Biani last time not to call him Qinbei, yet now he was in no mood to repeat it. He just said, Gang leader Zhao, immediately call all of those gang members here. Collect as much info as you can because I will be leaving Hong Kong tonight. Yes, Yi Qinbei, I'll immediately notify them. Zhao Biani didn't dare ask what had happened. This time, Yi Mo had to wait even less long. Perhaps due to Yi Mo's promise of a reward, or due to his dominating presence in the morning. It took less than an hour for all the people to get there. Yi Mo scanned everyone present and said plainly, thanks to the help of the Ocean Gang, I found some useful information. Therefore, I'll be leaving this place today. If some people have already found something useful, please speak up immediately. If not, then I will be counting on you guys the next time I need help. Yi Mo scanned everyone present and said plainly, thanks to the help of the Ocean Gang, I found some useful information. Therefore, I'll be leaving this place today. If some people have already found something useful, please speak up immediately. If not, then I will be counting on you guys the next time I need help. As soon as Yi Mo finished speaking, almost everyone looked at the big brother of the Ocean Gang, full of envy. The Ocean Gang was strictly put not a mob. They were fishermen who happened to also do some illegal trades. Yi Mo didn't care about what everyone was thinking. He took out a jade bottle and said, "This is a qi-increasing pill. Whoever is the ocean gang's leader, come up and take it. You can eat it right here. However, Wang Xiaoxi helped me out a lot this time, so I hope you will treat him well." "Yes, Yi Qianbei. Lu Si, will remember Qianbei's words." While having everyone's jealous eyes directed at him, Lu Si walked up to Yi Mo in excitement. He bowed first and then shakily took the bottle. As soon as he ate this pill, he would reach yellow level. Lu Si took the bottle to one corner of the hall, decisively consuming it. Even if Yi Mo hadn't told him to eat it here, he wouldn't have dared take it outside. If he did, he would be killed instantaneously. Yi Mo had allowed him to eat it here, clearly because he had taken that into consideration. Looking at the way Lu Si ate it, Yi Mo knew that the guy must not have a cultivation method. He sighed. Without a cultivation method, eating this pill was no different from eating rice, a waste of food. He wouldn't even be able to absorb the pill without a cultivation method. How could he turn the pill's power into his own? Yi Mo walked over and patted Lu Si on the head, helping him digest the power. When all the pill's potency had turned into inner qi, he went back up. "Yi Qianbei, I also found out some things. These are my results. Please have a look." "Qianbei," a woman walked up this time. Yi Mo knew this woman. When he came here last time, other than Zhao Biani, this woman was the first to subdue to him. Yi Mo remembered she was called Su Yuehua and had the nickname of Black Widow. This time, too, she was wearing black clothes. Since she was able to procure some results in such a short time, it meant that this woman wasn't simple. Furthermore, she was one out of the mere 3 yellow levels present. Yellow level peak at that, having the highest cultivation out of the 3. She probably had her own story, but Yi Mo didn't care about it. Yi Mo took the data from her and gave it a look. If it turned out to be worthless, he wouldn't be giving up his qi-increasing pill that easily. Yi Mo saw that there was actually a lot of info. This woman was meticulous indeed. This was precisely what he needed. What she had found out was that the model of the plane was a US MM-871, and the info even described its max speed and altitude. This model had an escape cockpit which could be opened and came with a parachute. Yi Mo felt relieved. This was what he wanted indeed. But this wasn't even all. She had gotten a hold of the names of almost all the passengers on board. Ning Qingshue's name was among it. Other than this, it also noted that there had been at least 4 people who worked for Yuan Bei Corporation on the plane. Their goal had been to abduct Ning Qingxue and take her to America. The mastermind behind this was the young CEO of the corporation, Yuan Qibing. Slap. Yi Mo slapped on the round table. The solid granite table had a huge crater smashed into it. The scene was quiet. No one dared make a sound. "Yuan Qibing, you're asking for an early death yourself, so don't blame me," Yi Mo said to himself. From Su Yuehua's investigation, it seemed that even if nothing had happened to Ning Qingxue on the plane, she would have been abducted by Yuan Qibing. Yi Mo looked at Su Yuehua. "You did very well, being able to find so much useful intel in a mere few hours. If you had had more time, perhaps you would have found out even more." "Thank you for your compliment, Qianbei. This is simply what Wanbei should do." Su Yuehua quickly stood up. Yi Mo nodded. Su Yuehua wasn't old. She was at most in her 30s and having been able to reach yellow level middle stage. This meant that her talent was quite good. Her origins weren't simple either. He wondered how someone like her had started working in the mafia. TL note. Yes, I know it was said before that she's yellow peak, and now that she's yellow middle. This is the original text of the author. He probably meant peak of yellow level middle stage. She said that this was what she should do, and not that it had been her luck. This meant that she truly was a capable woman. Her power in Hong Kong far exceeded your average gang level. Someone like her would be useful to him. At this moment, Lu Si suddenly yelled. He jumped up and punched. The solid stone floor had a bowl-sized dent punched in by his fist. Even the house started shaking. Everyone was shocked once again. Lu Si could make such a big hole in the solid granite floor. This meant that his power had increased to an incredible level. Yi Mo nodded. Not bad. You have yellow level power now, and some inner chi too. You just need to learn a few moves, and you'll truly have become a yellow level. There was something Yi Mo didn't say. Lu Si's foundation was too shallow. He had never trained systematically before. Although he had brought him up to the yellow level, only his reaction speed and power was at the yellow level. There would still be some difference compared to someone who had trained to the yellow level by himself. Seeing Lu Si became yellow level in such a short time, and his power shocking everyone at the scene, people's eyes were red as they cursed for not having gotten this opportunity. But after that, everyone turned their eyes to Su Yuehua. From Yi Mo's words, they knew that the next one to get the pill was Su Yuehua. Su Yuehua also stared at Yi Mo nervously. Ever since she'd reached yellow level middle stage, she had sunk into a bottleneck. 5 years had gone by, and she was still yellow middle stage. This was due to her lacking cultivation time and environment, but also due to not having any good herbs to her disposal. She had never doubted her potential. If her potential wasn't good, she wouldn't have reached yellow level in her 30s. Thank you for everything, Qianbei. Only now do I realize how pitiful I was before. Lu Si walked up to Yi Mo and knelt down. Before he'd reached yellow level, he had had no concept of ancient martial arts at all. He just knew that yellow level was stronger than him. But now that he reached the yellow level and had some faint inner chi in his body, he realized how ridiculous his thoughts were before. He also grasped that if a normal martial artist were to fight with a yellow level warrior, then no matter how good they were, they would die for sure. He hadn't even dared dream about his current power before. From this, one could see how terrifying Yi Mo was. Yi Mo waved his hand and said, "No need to thank me. This is what you deserve. Go back first." Everyone looked at Lu Si with envy. Although everyone wanted to ask how strong he was right now, no one had the guts to talk now. Some gangs who had conflicts with Lu Si were already thinking of ways to resolve them. Yi Mo looked at the hopeful Su Yuehua and said, "You are very good. There's a chi increasing pill here. Eat it now. It depends on your luck if you can reach black level or not." When he gave a pill to Luo Xian, she had been just yellow level middle stage, yet she reached black level primary stage peak under the effects of the pill. But Su Yuehua was already at the peak of yellow level middle stage. Su Yuehua quite possibly might reach the black level. Yi Mo's words shocked everyone again. He said she might even reach black level. Everyone knew there were 3 yellow levels from what Yi Mo had said in the morning, but they didn't expect she actually wasn't yellow level primary stage. Her name wasn't well known in Hong Kong, yet she was a yellow level. This made a lot of people who had had nefarious schemes for her feel some cold sweat. Su Yuehua took the pill excitedly. For her, it was already heavenly fortune if she could break past the yellow level middle stage barrier. But Yi Mo said that she might even reach black level. She almost couldn't contain herself from excitement. Black level. She had never even dreamed about it before. Seeing Su Yu consume the pill and digest it, Yi Mo nodded. Su Yuehua did have her own cultivation method, but even the yellow level middle stage Su Yuehua didn't dare to bring the pill outside and chose to take it here. Seeing Su Yu consume the pill and digest it, Yi Mo nodded. Su Yuehua did have her own cultivation method, but even the yellow level middle stage Su Yuehua didn't dare to bring the pill outside and chose to take it here. With everything done, Yi Mo stood up. "Thank you everyone for your help. I will gift everyone a recovery pill. Then the meeting ends here today. You may leave after taking your pill." Yi Mo took out a big porcelain vase and gave it to Jiao Biani, making him give everyone one. This pill wasn't very precious, but could treat wounds much better than normal medicine. Although only 2 people got the qi-increasing pill, everyone was happy that they got the recovery pill. Even if Yi Mo hadn't given anything, no one would have dared to go against his orders. Seeing that everyone had left, Yi Mo took out a normal ancient martial arts cultivation method for Jiao Biani and said, "You've helped a lot this time. Here is an ancient martial arts cultivation method. What degree you reach will depend on your own fortune." If Yi Mo had taken out something else, he might have been polite and tried to reject it, but an ancient martial arts cultivation method? This was something even the great families of China might not have. How could he reject that? Although it was useless to Yi Mo, it was worth more than millions to Jiao Biani. Jiao Biani took it excitedly and swore loyalty to Yi Mo. Yi Mo waved his hand. He didn't even take Jiao Biani's words to heart. Jiao Biani was afraid because he could kill him in an instant. If his power were weaker than his, Jiao Biani might just kill him immediately. The reason he gave everyone a pill and Jiao Biani a cultivation method was because he might need their help in the future. He couldn't just come when he needed help and leave when he didn't. If things were to continue like that, then even if they didn't dare to not come, they would do things half-heartedly. I have a friend called Mo Ping. If he comes tomorrow, tell him that I'm already gone. Yi Mo was afraid Mo Ping would come looking for him. Mo Ping, Jiao Biani repeated. What? You know him? Yi Mo looked strangely at Jiao Biani. Jiao Biani nodded nervously. If it's the Mo Ping of the Half-Mountain Mansion, I know of him, but I don't know him personally. His uncle is a British baron, and he is the chief of commerce of the Hong Kong Commercial Association. Yi Mo just realized that Mo Kong and Mo Ping had such a status, yet no matter how much status they had, they were played with however the hidden sex liked it. Okay, you leave first. I have something to say to Su Yuehua. Yi Mo saw that she had digested the pill, and her face showed surprise and joy. Yes, Jiao Biani quickly exited. Today's events had been like a dream. Even now, he didn't dare to believe that he had acquired an ancient martial arts cultivation method. Walking outside, Jiao Biani thought of something. How could Yi Mo take out so many things if he wore such thin clothes? He wondered how Yi Mo had taken out all these things. Thinking about this, Jiao Biani shivered and quickly stopped his thoughts. Yi Mo studied Su Yuehua and felt disappointed. Her cultivation ability was far less than her investigation capabilities. Su Yuehua had only reached half-step black level. Still, she couldn't be blamed. This was due to her potential and cultivation method. Luo Xian came from the inner hidden sections. Her cultivation method must be the top of the top. Also, not everyone could become a core member of the inner hidden sex like her. So since she could, it meant her talent was first grade. If it wasn't due to Ning Qingxue, Yi Mo wouldn't take out the precious qi increasing pill. Although those little more than 10 pills were useless to him, he still had a lot of people working for him. Su Yuehua walked in front of Yi Mo with joy, bowed, and said, "Thank you for your pill, Qianbei. I didn't expect to benefit so much." Compared to Yi Mo's thoughts, she was very satisfied. Not only had she reached the tertiary stage of the yellow level, she went past the peak stage and reached half-step black level. Yi Mo nodded and said, "Although you didn't reach black level now, you can in a few years of hard work." Su Yuehua, you're a smart person. Do you know why I made you stay behind? Su Yuehua wasn't ugly, but she wouldn't be so arrogant as to think Yi Mo wanted her here for her looks. "Qianbei, please make your orders. Although my power in Hong Kong is average, I have my ways." Su Yuehua immediately understood what Yi Mo meant. Yi Mo nodded in approval. "Your abilities are undoubtedly there. If possible, I want you to keep investigating this matter for me. And if you want, you may go to Flowing Snake. I have something that I need someone like you to do." However, the moment you go to Flowing Snake, you belong to me. Of course, this all depends on what you want. I won't force you, don't worry. If you do agree to go to Flowing Snake, then go there after you finish your investigation. If not, then just give your investigation results to Jiao Biani. You don't need to reply to me now. You can think it over first. Flowing Snakes? Su Yuehua exclaimed. That was Luo Yu's territory. She quickly understood, though. She was really stupid. If Luo Yu didn't belong to Yi Qianbei, how would Fei Yu have been able to get the spot? Furthermore, Yi Mo taking out that many pills had to mean that he was a pill master. Indeed, Yi Mo confirmed, Luo Yu is my asset, but you probably figured that out already. Yi Mo thought that if Su Yuehua were to join Luo Yu, they wouldn't have people investigating them, yet know nothing about it anymore. Neither Su Ping nor Fong Nen could be intelligence officers. They lacked the brains and a kind of meticulous thinking. Su Yuehua could fulfill this job, and more importantly, if she joined Luo Yu, Yi Mo planned for her to investigate North Sand. He wanted to annihilate them, but he didn't know much about them. After Su Yuehua left, Yi Mo called Yu Miaodan. Sister Yu, use all means at your disposal to bring down Yuan Bei Corporation. As for the Yuan family people, I will go for their throats after I come back. Okay, even without Yi Mo making this call, Yu Miaodan was planning to do just that. How dare that Yuan Qibing scheme for Ning Qingxue? Is Yi Ling still all right? Yi Mo asked. Yu Miaodan immediately replied, she's very busy studying pill concoction with Eru. Yi Mo afterwards made some simple arrangements with Jiao Biani and left, searching along the flight route. At this moment, in another mansion, 4 men sat closely negotiating. The 4 of them had a name. The Hong Kong 4 strange looks, however, people only dare whisper this name because those who've said it in front of them have been killed. The 4 were all brothers and were the cruelest out of the entire Hong Kong mafia. Even the police felt fear for the 4. Although they were brothers, they didn't look like each other at all. That's why they were called the 4 strange looks. The tallest man was the big brother, called Fu Eugene. He was yellow level. The long-haired man sitting on the ground was Fu Yuin, the second brother. The shortest was third brother Fu Yusan. The youngest was the fastest and whitest. He was Fu Yuhai. The 4 brothers were pirates and had found an ancient martial arts cultivation method in a tomb. The tomb had almost killed them, though, so they hadn't ventured in any further, just leaving with the book. With this cultivation method, the big brother reached yellow level middle stage, but second, third, as well as fourth brother were only almost nearing yellow level. Because of their talent, they were stuck. They knew there were good things in that tomb, but even though they liked adventuring, they weren't stupid. They knew they would die for sure if they went in. So the 4 had arranged to go in again, once they all reached yellow level. But due to the other 3 being unable to reach yellow level, and because they were living well in Hong Kong, they dumped that aside. But then today, Yi Mo said that he had a pill for reaching the yellow level. They too had gone to Yi Mo's meeting today, all of them interested in the qi increasing pill. They too had gone to Yi Mo's meeting today, all of them interested in the qi increasing pill. If it was just some average thingy, then they would fear Yi Mo's power and not dare take any risks, but the qi increasing pill had sent them into a frenzy. Even an idiot like Lu Si, who had no cultivation method, could get a pill. How could elite people like them not get one? One could imagine that if the 4 of them got the qi increasing pill and all became yellow level, with there being a possibility of Fu Eugene reaching black level, they would then be able to dominate the world. But the problem was Yi Mo's name was too great, and so was his power that they witnessed. They didn't know whether they should make a move or not. Big brother, Yi Mo is only by himself and you're yellow level. If we ambush him, there's a high chance that we will succeed, Fu Yuin said. He really wanted to reach yellow level and go explore that ancient tomb again. The third brother shook his head. Second brother, Big Brother is right to hesitate. We saw for ourselves today. Although he's a little weaker than us, that Li Baoya was not bad. Yet Yemo killed him so easily. And that fireball is very strange too. Fu Eugene nodded. Third Brother is right. If Yemo was really that easy to attack, that old fox Jiao Bianyi wouldn't be so easy to talk to. His subordinate Peng Yang is no worse than me. Why doesn't he attack then? Peng Yang fought with Yemo last time, and he was no match for him at all. Furthermore, do you think Earth Fiend is that easy to annihilate? I don't need to explain to you the terror of Earth Fiend, yet they were actually annihilated by Yemo. He's too horrific. If the pill was in anyone else's hands, I would charge up without a doubt. But this Yemo, he's too strong. Fu Eugene shook his head. The fat brother stood up now. He was the fourth brother, and the most cunning one out of the four. The reason they could have their current status today was heavily related to his work. Fu Yuhai shook his head. Let's not talk about who is right or wrong. The use of the chi-increasing pill is too great for us. If we have it, then even if we go against the legendary hidden sex, we still might not have to be afraid. And this thing isn't something we can buy with money. Fu Eugene looked strangely at Fu Yuhai and asked, "You're saying we should attack?" Fu Yuhai nodded. "I support attacking. The only reason why we are where we are now is because we obtained that ancient martial arts cultivation method. What would we become if we got the chi-increasing pill on top of it? But fourth brother, don't you know Yemo's power? Not only did he annihilate Earth Fiend, Nanqing and Metal River were defeated by his hands all the same." Fu Yusan frowned. Fu Yuhai sneered. "Of course we will attack, but the key is how we are going to attack. If he's really that powerful, Nanqing would be long dead and not remain the local overlord of Sinai. Also, Earth Fiend was indeed strong, but that was in terms of assassination. They were assassins. Even a normal assassin would be able to assassinate a yellow level. Yemo is strong. I never said he wasn't. His fireball has the capability to kill, sure, but why does he use it? To make us fear. If he really were strong to the point of killing us just by raising his hand, would he need us to fear him? Plus, Fu Yuhai scanned his brothers and said, "I suspect that fireball of his is related to some high-tech tricks. Big brother, let me ask you, if you had such a fire weapon, could you slap and burn Lu Baoya to death?" "This, of course I could," Fu Yuhai answered subconsciously. Fu Yuhai nodded. "That's right. I think that Yemo should be about black level. We know how hard that is to reach. The book said that if you are talented, you can reach black level in 50 years. How old is Yemo? So, we'll definitely treat him as a genius, but he's at most black level nonetheless." But fourth brother, I heard that Daoist Xian of Metal River also died by his hands. Daoist Xian was black level, Fu Yusen commented. Fu Yuhai said confidently, "Let's not talk about whether Daoist Xiao was black level or not. Even if he was, can't Yemo have ambushed him? That's why, if we want to kill Yemo, we can't fight him head on. We're no match for him. We need special means to kill in one strike. This chi-increasing pill is worth the risk." Fu Yuin said, "I agree with fourth brother. His analysis is very sound." Fu Eugene was obviously convinced and asked, "Fourth brother, what's the plan?" Fu Yuhai smiled. "I think we should give him a taste of his own medicine." "Explain," Fu Yuin said. Fu Yuhai had a cruel look on his face. "We'll get someone to make a huge bomb, maybe even an incendiary one. I heard that there's an organization in Southeast Asia that is able to make laser bombs. It's tens or even hundreds of times more powerful than normal bombs, but it's pricey. Still, I believe that compared to the chi-increasing pills, money means nothing." Seeing that the others didn't speak up, Fu Yuhai continued, "Of course, we need to choose a good ambush location so that we manage to kill him in one go. Okay, let's negotiate how we're going to act out the plan. It's a pity we don't have any special bombs ready. If we did, tonight would have been the best timing. Yi Mo sent us away, but he kept that sexy black widow. Perhaps they're doing it. I really didn't expect her to be a yellow-level warrior. What a shame. If only I could have a go on her. Fu Yuing commented in disappointment. Fu Eugene shook his head. Second brother, we're talking about a serious matter here. This concerns our lives. Yi Mo would never keep Black Widow for sex. Actually, perhaps he has already left Hong Kong. Big brother is right. If Yi Mo was someone like that, we wouldn't need to be so careful. But if second brother wants Black Widow, it's really a simple matter. Even if she reached black level, we could still capture her. However, we shouldn't try her before we have Yi Mo. I think the reason Yi Mo kept her was due to her intelligence-gathering abilities, Fu Yuhai warned. Fu Yuing laughed awkwardly. It was just a joke. Su Yuehua was also being hesitant. She was considering whether she should follow Yi Mo or not. Yi Mo had stated very clearly that he wanted her to work for him. Su Yuehua believed that even if she disagreed, Yi Mo wouldn't go back on his words and trouble her. But she had her own hardships too. No one knew that she actually originated from an annihilated hidden family. Only she had escaped the massacre of her family. Her father had given her an ancient martial arts cultivation method, and it took her almost 20 years to stumble to the yellow level middle stage. She knew that, with that kind of progress, she would never be able to get revenge in her entire life. She thought that since Yi Mo had formed such a big company, had connected with Hong Kong's high-profile people, and had even annihilated Earth Fiend, this meant that he had great ambition. If she were to get involved in it, she would be affected for sure. She was used to her current life. Although she had no hope at getting revenge, she felt that her current life was peaceful. Even though she was in the mafia society, she never really went to fight and kill. She was doing proper business, which didn't mean that she didn't come into contact with the mobs. The reason why she was called Black Widow was because a medium-sized gang had wanted to take her in and seize all of her business. During the ensuing conflict, she annihilated the entire gang. Just like that, her name got big. That's why no one in the underground world dared do anything to her. She considered life to be better than before. But she understood that if she didn't follow Yi Mo, her life would be just that. There would be no progress. She gave it a lot of thought, and in the end decided to have a look and see whether Yi Mo was the ambitious person she thought he was. As soon as she came back to her hotel, though, it turned out that there was already someone waiting there for her. Do you have some business with me? Su Yuehua noticed that the person who was waiting for her was Lu Si, the gang leader of the Ocean Gang. Such a minor gang wasn't worthy of Su Yuehua's consideration, though. Do you have some business with me? Su Yuehua noticed that the person who was waiting for her was Lu Si, the gang leader of the Ocean Gang. Such a minor gang wasn't worthy of Su Yuehua's consideration, though. Lu Si knew his own status and knew that he amounted to nothing in her eyes. Seeing Su Yuehua, he stood up and said respectfully, "Big Sister Su, I came to serve you." Su Yuehua looked at Lu Si confusedly. "You want to follow me? Your businesses are all in the sea, while mine concern hotels and intelligence." Lu Si said seriously, "Sister Su, I know that my Ocean Gang must seem worthless in your eyes. I was lucky that Yi Qinbei gave me a qi-increasing pill. I reached the yellow level all thanks to this pill, and after reaching the yellow level, I came to realize how lowly I had been before." Su Yuehua seemed to have understood where he was going with this. She sat down and told Lu Si to sit down first too. After sitting down, Lu Si continued, "I know fully well that my meager abilities are worth nothing to Yi Qinbei, but it's different for Sister Su. Yi Qinbei wants to keep Sister Su due to Sister Su's capabilities. So I think if I follow Sister Su, then if Sister Su follows Yi Qinbei, I can benefit a little too." Su Yuehua started looking at Lu Si properly for the first time. No wonder her father had told her to never underestimate anyone. Lu Si didn't have great fame, and was just a small boss in the Hong Kong mob world. Yet he could see that far ahead, imagining why Yi Qinbei would keep her. He wanted to progress higher, which meant following Yi Mo. But he knew that Yi Mo didn't need him, so he came to her instead. This person was quite cunning. Although the Ocean Gang was a small gang, it was still a fat piece of meat. Also, he had managed to survive in between all those big gangs, which proved that he wasn't that simple. "You're very smart," Su Yuehua applauded. She finally comprehended that she wasn't the only smart person around. She had still been thinking about whether or not to join Yi Mo. Yet some people were already trying all they could in order to follow Yi Mo. "Thank you for your compliment, Sister Su. But I don't dare to be called smart in front of Sister Su. I am loyal, though. So if Sister Su is willing to accept me, I swear that I will manage affairs wholeheartedly for Sister Su," Lu Si promised solemnly. Su Yuehua smiled and stood up. "Gang leader Lu, go back for now. If one day I really do end up following Yi Qinbei, I will notify you." Lu Si rejoiced and stood up. Before he left, he hesitated as to whether or not he should voice his conjecture. "Is there something else?" Su Yuehua had noticed it. Seeing her ask, Lu Si seemed to have made up his mind and said, "Yes, Sister Su." Today, when Lu Baoya wanted to rob the pill, I was sitting behind the four strange looks. I saw that Fu Yuan had actually wanted to stand up, but was quickly pulled back by his big brother. I took special notice of the four, and as soon as they left the meeting hall, they signaled each other and gave each other a nod before speeding away. I suspect that they might try to harm Yi Qinbei. Su Yuehua frowned and stared at Lu Si, saying slowly, "In that case, why didn't you go tell Yi Qinbei?" Lu Si said awkwardly, "I'm afraid that Yi Qinbei might think I'm intentionally trying to get close to him. Also, I had been sitting behind the four strange looks. Hence, if I went to tell Yi Qinbei, this might reach their ears. My Ocean Gang is but a small gang. They would destroy us easily. But you're yellow level now. Why are you afraid of a mere four strange looks? Besides, aren't you afraid that I will expose you?" Su Yuehua said suspiciously. Lu Si said carefully, "The four strange looks can make even gang leader Jiao feel threatened. There's no way they're that simple. And even if I myself am not afraid, my men are ordinary people. They could be easily killed by them. As for exposing me, Sister Su wouldn't expose me for this. If I didn't trust Sister Su's integrity, I wouldn't have come today." Su Yuehua nodded. "Okay, I got it. I will take note of this. Go back first. When I need you, I will notify you." Lu Si left the hotel happily. He knew that since Su Yuehua had said this much, it meant that if she were to follow Yi Mo, she would definitely take him with her. Before Lu Si had experienced the power of yellow level, he didn't think much of it. But now that he was yellow level himself and had realized its power, he desired more of that power. Su Yuehua had indeed refreshed her outlook on Lu Si. He had a brain and wasn't impulsive. Regardless of whether what he had seen was correct or not, she was planning to investigate it. The pill Yi Mo had given her far exceeded what she had done for him. She could handle such things easily, so why not? Moreover, other people might fear the four strange looks, but she didn't. The moment Ning Qingxue jumped off the plane, she knew she would still die. A strong sense of suffocation came upon her. She felt a strange air current about to wash her away, and a huge pressure almost crushing her. She couldn't even breathe. In a short moment, she started to hallucinate. This was completely different from the skydiving she had trained. And this was when the plane had descended to less than 10 kilometers above Earth. If it were higher than 15 kilometers, she would have gotten ripped apart. It seemed like the parachute wasn't opening for a century. Ning Qingxue's brain was chaotic. She was suffocating and about to be ripped apart. Yet, at this moment, the necklace on her chest emitted a white light that protected her. This time, Ning Qingxue saw it clearly. The white light was faint, but seemed like it could last a long time. That pressure and cold was gone, but she could still barely breathe. Was she going to die of suffocation? Just when she was feeling extremely suffocated, a faint qi flow went up to her brain, making her clear up again. What was this? Ning Qingxue remembered the cultivation method Tang Beiwei had taught her. The first meridian cycle Tang Beiwei had taught her went the same way as this qi flow had gone. Ning Qingxue rejoiced. Had she really once learned this cultivation method? Had Yimo really taught her this before? Still, that qi flow had been very weak. So without a second thought, Ning Qingxue started to complete the meridian cycle Tang Beiwei had taught her. At a few thousand meters above the ground, the parachute opened by itself, but Ning Qingxue was still sunk deep into completing the meridian cycle. She didn't even feel the parachute open. After a long time, Ning Qingxue felt a piercing coldness on her skin as she woke up. She hadn't died. She had landed on the boundless ocean. Ning Qingxue immediately realized that she had landed in the Pacific Ocean, but if she wasn't going to be able to find land, she would eventually still die nonetheless. Ning Qingxue unbuckled the parachute and then remembered there should have been an emergency flotation hoop in the cockpit, but she hadn't considered that much at the time and hadn't taken it out. In her bag, other than some food, there was only some fire-starting equipment and medicine. Ning Qingxue shivered. Even if she didn't drown, she would be frozen to death or eaten by sharks. Ning Qingxue held on to the bag tightly. She couldn't throw this away. If she did, then she wouldn't live even if she did find land. The frigidness was permeating deeply into her bones. Ning Qingxue subconsciously started to run the meridian cycle again. She felt strange about it. As long as she cultivated, that coldness would go away. She even felt a little bit warm. Time passed slowly, and when Ning Qingxue woke up again, it was already night. In front of her, there was a white glacier reflecting the moonlight. Ning Qingxue rejoiced and started swimming towards it. She felt lucky that she still had so much stamina after such a long time. However, she was quite hungry. When she came to this glacier, Ning Qingxue started feeling cold again. The wind blew as she cowered into a crevice within the icy mountain. The freezing temperature forced her to keep up the cultivating. She opened up a can and ate it, all the while continuing with her cultivation. She knew that the moment she stopped, she would freeze. Currently, Ning Qingxue started to believe more and more that she had practiced the cultivation method Tang Beiwei taught her before. She understood a lot of the directions of the meridian cycle and completed it as if by habit. By the time Ning Qingxue woke up again, the sun was already up. Ning Qingxue found that the clothes on her body had already dried. However, her necklace's light seemed dull. By the time Ning Qingxue woke up again, the sun was already up. Ning Qingxue found that the clothes on her body had already dried. However, her necklace's light seemed dull. Ning Qingxue took it out and looked at it worriedly. When she saw the protection of the necklace, she felt an emotional attachment to it. It was like her friend, sacrificing its lustrous appearance to protect her. Was it really just as Mumei had said? The last time, had this necklace also protected her in danger? Did the necklace turn dull last time as well? And as time went by, it recovered its sheen? Putting the necklace down, Ning Qingxue investigated the situation her own body was in. There seemed to be some extra power in her dantian. She could use the power inside of it however she liked. Was this the qi Tang Beiwei had spoken of, or the qi of ancient martial arts? Master Wu Guang had said that in order to cultivate qi, even a talented ancient martial arts practitioner had to spend at least 5 years or more. Normal people needed 10 years, and some would never be able to get it in their entire lives. She'd only cultivated for 20 or so hours and gotten in her qi. Suddenly, Ning Qingxue's face changed. She remembered something else that Master Wu Guang had said. If she really had had such power, then in 1 year's time, She should have been able to use her power to envelop her memories before she died. Had that really been the case? If it was all true, then this indicated that Mumei hadn't lied to her, and Wu Guang's words had also been true. That would mean that she really had fallen in love with Yemo. How could this be? How could she fall in love with Yemo? Who was Yemo? She had already investigated him. Some rich second-generation kid that was a trash to society. She believed that no matter what, they would have never been together. Wait, hadn't she ignored something? According to Mumei, Yemo had changed a lot. When Yemo came to Yu State to find her, he really did seem different from the Yemo she knew, other than still being obsessed with her. Everything else was different. That day, he had said that he was going to help her recover her memories, yet she told him to leave, to piss off Even. The reason she went as far as to use the words piss off was because she saw her mother kneel to him, and that had made her angry. His face had turned very pale at the time as he took out that pill he claimed to be a face-preserving pill, yet after she ate it, she still told him to leave. He even spat blood then. Her mom had been even worse of saying that the spot Yemo was standing in was her home, and she had made Yemo leave through the window. Ning Qingshu suddenly imagined the desperation and pain Yemo's heart had to have been in at the time. She had indeed felt the changes in her body after eating the pill. Had that face-preserving pill been for real? Didn't that mean that it was worth a fortune? She thought Yemo had been bullshitting. Yet after seeing the effects of the defensive necklace and the Luo Yu beauty pill, she ended up doubting those thoughts. Beauty pill, face-preserving pill. Ning Qingshu suddenly came to realize that both pills were related to beauty. Didn't that suggest that the two pills were related? Concluding this, Ning Qingshu shivered. She understood now. Considering how Fei Yu had gotten chosen and CEO Yu's attitude towards her, as well as the mysterious big boss of Luo Yu, if she still didn't deduce that Luo Yu was related to Yemo, she would simply be too stupid. If it weren't Yemo's company, why would Luo Yu have chosen her corporation? If Yemo wasn't the big boss, why would someone as capable as Yu Miaodong have been so respectful to her? If not because she was Yemo's wife, why would Yu Miaodong have been so rude to Yuan Qibing, going so far as to even target him? After all, Luo Yu was a new company. They couldn't just randomly offend Yuan Bei, even if they really didn't want to cooperate with them. How come Yu Miaodong hadn't sent representatives to other companies but just to hers? So that's it, Ning Qingshu murmured. She had come to realize a lot of things. She guessed that what Yemo had told her was probably true. Ning Qingshu grabbed her hair. Although she believed these things now, she still couldn't believe that she'd fallen in love with Yemo. Ning Qingshu sighed and cast these thoughts aside as she walked out from the crevice and found a place to sit. She took out some things to eat before realizing she was short on water. If she couldn't find land as soon as possible, she would die all the same. But before she died, she wanted to know why she would fall in love with Yemo and even preserve their memories when she had been moments from death. After a long while, she stood up dazedly. Countless thoughts flashed across her mind. She wondered how her parents were. They must be really worried. Ning Qingshu sat there for a whole morning. Then Ning Qingshu decided that she needed to find land and couldn't just be wasting time here. The sun was covered by clouds with the temperature getting colder again. Ning Qingshu looked around. She figured that since she wanted to leave the glacier, she'd have to find a place to go on land. She really didn't like swimming in the ocean. In the far distance, Ning Qingshu actually saw a black shadow getting bigger and bigger. It was a ship. It really was a ship. Ning Qingshu's heart started thumping. This meant that there were people there, which in turn meant that she was saved. She stared at the ship as it held course towards her direction. She would scream for help as soon as the ship got near. It was getting closer, but one could see sails on top of the ship. It was already this era, and there were still ships with sails? Ning Qingshu felt it to be quite strange. As the ship neared, Ning Qingxue was about to wave with a towel when she saw the flag on the ship. It was an upside-down skull. Even in the middle of the day, Ning Qingxue could still feel the chills. There didn't seem to be even a single person on the ship, and Ning Qingxue quickly put her hand down. She was afraid to attract the ship. Luckily, her eyes were good, or she wouldn't have been able to spot the skull flag. Ning Qingxue carefully hid in the crevice again and took out the gun from the bag. It was an MP5KA4. The thing was, she only had 2 clips, one of which had been acquired from the runny-nosed guy. But that one was burned, so she wasn't even sure if she would be able to use it. Other than that, she had 4 fireball charms. Tang Beiwei had given them to her before she left. She was really grateful to Tang Beiwei now. If not for her, she would have died on the plane, and it wasn't certain whether her corpse might have been raped or not. Ning Qingxue carefully put the fireball charms on her, tied the dagger to her leg, and held the gun in her hand before staring at the ship that was sailing over. Ning Qingxue didn't have much nautical knowledge, but that skull flag definitely signified that those on board wouldn't be any virtuous people. She even suspected that it was a pirate ship, but she didn't seem to see anyone on it. In this day and age, who still use sails, this alone was already very eerie on itself. Ning Qingxue didn't like watching movies, but she had still seen those movie posters. If this ship was really a pirate ship, she would only be able to pray that they didn't see her. She would rather die alone on this glacier than be taken away by pirates. She had 2 clips, so no matter what, if she were to get caught by pirates, she wouldn't allow herself to be raped. Ning Qingxue got more and more worried as the ship neared her. She could see some things on the ship which appeared to be a couple of huge anchors. But other than that, and the flag, she didn't see anything. The skull flag looked scary, and Ning Qingxue felt goosebumps all over her. She stuck closely inside the crevice as she held the gun, not daring to move a bit. The ship barely skimmed past the glacier Ning Qingxue was on. It was as though the people on the ship didn't care at all if it would crash. The ship barely skimmed past the glacier Ning Qingxue was on. It was as though the people on the ship didn't care at all if it would crash. Ning Qingxue didn't even dare move. This ship seemed too quiet. There wasn't any sound at all. Ning Qingxue had a sudden thought. Was the ship moving on its own? Or was it indeed a pirate ship that had had a fight with another group and had everyone on the ship died? But even then, there should be some battle scars at least. What she was seeing was a perfectly fine ship. The sails even looked brand new. If this really was an empty ship, then wouldn't she have greater chances of survival? Ning Qingxue rejoiced and didn't give it much further thought. Just as she wanted to get up and check the ship out, a sudden boisterous sound came from it, as though people were partying and drinking. There are people on the ship? Ning Qingxue quickly bobbed her head down, but the sound seemed to have disappeared again. Hold on, this wasn't right. The sound had come suddenly, but also left just as suddenly. Ning Qingxue even wondered if she hadn't heard wrong. But no matter what, she didn't dare go on the ship anymore, nor did she dare even enter the water. This ship was too eerie. If there were people on it, they wouldn't let it brush past the glacier and still be drinking loudly inside. If there weren't people on it, the ship seemed to be moving a bit too fluently, right? Ghost ship? Ning Qingxue once again felt goosebumps. She had received a high level of education and was an atheist. If it had been before, perhaps she would have gotten on the ship already. But after having experienced the defensive artifact, the fireball charms, and all those things, her atheism had gotten a bit shaky. Perhaps there really were ghosts in this world. The ship was scraping past the glacier without a stop, but Ning Qingxue didn't dare move, and hid within the ice, listening carefully. Even after the ship had gone a long way, she didn't hear any sound. Had it just been her imagination? The sea surface got colder, once again due to the sun being covered in clouds, and fog was also starting to form while the ship disappeared from her sight. Ning Qingxue shivered. She didn't dare go into the water and search for land anymore. She might as well just stay on this glacier. In order to resist the cold, Ning Qingxue cultivated nonstop. When she got tired, she would eat a bit. During the day, as the sun came out, she stood on the glacier looking around in hopes of finding a normal ship. Yet Ning Qingxue grew more and more disappointed. The only fortunate thing was that the necklace had recovered some of its luster. She believed that it could indeed auto-repair, as long as it didn't break. However, Ning Qingxue realized that her glacier was getting smaller and smaller. In some time, it would melt. Once the glacier melted, she would fall into the ocean again. Ning Qingxue looked around the ocean, but didn't find another glacier. She reached her hand into the water and felt that it was a bit warm. What was this? Ning Qingxue climbed to the top of the glacier and looked around. Suddenly, she saw a black figure far away. It was an island. Ning Qingxue jumped around excitedly. If it wasn't for the fact that she didn't like being around a lot of people originally and that she had a cultivation method at her disposal, she might have gone crazy staying on a glacier by herself for days on end. She fretted whether the glacier she was on would somehow float over to that island. She was afraid of getting in the water again and swimming over if it didn't. Luckily, Ning Qingxue saw after a while that her glacier was indeed floating towards the island. She rested easy. Even if she wouldn't be saved by people in the end, she would rather die on land than being engulfed by the ocean. She hated the salty seawater, yet had to use it to wash herself every day. Ning Qingxue packed her things. The bag was already almost empty, so other than the slightly heavy gun, everything else was very light. Around the time it was getting dark again, the glacier neared the island. Only now did Ning Qingxue notice that this island wasn't small. She estimated it had to be more than 10 square kilometers. She rejoiced at seeing vegetation on the island, and even seeing a few seagulls fly over the island. This meant that it was habitable. There was a smell of sulfur, and as Ning Qingxue looked up, she could see that at the center of the island, there was a spacious area. Ning Qingxue frowned. This island might be a volcano. If this volcano erupted, she would have nowhere to run to. But even if she knew this volcano could erupt, she would still go on it because she had nowhere else to go now. When Ning Qingxue scanned around the island, she was dumbfounded. An eerie ship with sails had stopped by the island. Ning Qingxue didn't dare stand at the highest point of the glacier anymore. She quickly climbed down as the glacier was getting closer and closer to the ship. Ning Qingxue could see clearly that although the ship had stopped at the island, it hadn't thrown out its anchor. Ning Qingxue was sure that there was indeed no one on the ship, but she was still scared and prayed for the glacier not to get close to the ship. But the glacier still kept nearing the vessel, and with its current direction and speed, it would definitely crash into it. Should she jump into the water? Ning Qingxue hesitated. If there wasn't this eerie ship, she would. But with this ship around, she was all the more afraid of jumping into the water. After all, on the glacier, she could still look around. Once she was in the water, however, who knew what could happen in there? A gust of wind blew, and Ning Qingxue shivered. She suddenly came to realize that the glacier's course was being changed a little by the wind. This way, the glacier might not crash into the ship after all. Ning Qingxue felt a little relieved, but still held onto the gun tightly, hiding on one side of the glacier. As the glacier brushed past the ship, Ning Qingxue subconsciously wanted to become aware of what was on the ship, and as soon as this thought rose up, the scene inside the ship was immediately projected inside her brain. Ning Qingxue was astonished. What was this? The moment she got startled, that image in her brain disappeared, but Ning Qingxue could clearly feel that there really was no one on the ship, though in the largest room of the ship there was a table which even had meals on it. Ning Qingxue grew scared. She didn't understand how an image of the ship could have appeared inside her brain when she'd thought about it. Although Ning Qingxue was cultivating a Tao cultivation method. She still didn't know about spirit sense. She had mobilized her spirit sense just then and checked the inside of the ship, but had gotten so scared, not knowing how to use it, that she'd subconsciously retrieved it because of it. Ning Qingxue pondered. There is no one managing the ship, yet it didn't crash into any glaciers or corals and managed to sail to this small island. If this isn't eerie, then what is? As she thought this, Ning Qingxue didn't dare even move anymore. She felt her hands sweat from holding the gun. If she had a choice, she would never want to get on the island due to this eerie ship, but she didn't. Suddenly, Ning Qingxue felt goosebumps all over again, as if a bleak wind had blown from the crevice of the glacier towards her. Ning Qingxue could clearly feel that before the bleak wind could near her, it was blocked by the necklace and disappeared. There was a warm flow of energy coming from the necklace that flowed through her body and calmed her down. Ning Qingxue grabbed the necklace and murmured, "Did you save me again?" "Thank you." The glacier finally touched the island. Ning Qingxue was afraid of staying on it, not because it was getting smaller, but because the glacier was right next to the ship. Ning Qingxue jumped onto the island. She didn't even dare look back, as she just ran in the opposite direction of the ship. Yi Mo had already gone along the original plane route twice. According to Su Yuehua's news, the plane had gone halfway when it went missing, and this was right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Yi Mo had already gone along the original plane route twice. According to Su Yuehua's news, the plane had gone halfway when it went missing, and this was right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Yi Mo had searched many times already around this region, but hadn't found anything. Yi Mo stood in the air above the Pacific Ocean. Although he was worried, there was nothing he could do. He hated that his power was too weak. It would be much easier to search if his spirit sense could scan tens of kilometers already. However, at the moment, he could only see around 400 meters with his spirit sense. But Yi Mo knew that having spirit sense which could reach tens of kilometers would already imply being at the Foundation establishment or even the Golden Core level. Although Yi Mo wasn't going at full speed, he was still tired from staying in the air for that long. Luckily, this was deep in the Pacific, and the U.S. submarines couldn't detect him. Otherwise, there might have been more trouble. It looked like there were no more clues, but Yi Mo wouldn't give up just like that. He had two options, either to go back to Hong Kong and think of alternatives or to keep looking. Yi Mo thought of the two Japanese men he had caught and their Black Sun Empire. If they did hijack the plane, wouldn't they have flown towards Japan? Realizing this, Yi Mo got excited and flew towards the north. Even though his chi was depleted, he could always just take out the inflatable raft if he needed to rest. Although the hijacked plane had gone north, Yi Mo didn't think it would be in Japan. Otherwise, if they really had flown a hijacked plane so openly to Japan, they would be idiots. Yi Mo was sure that, even if the direction was north, they wouldn't go near coastal countries since each one had their own self-defense systems. This meant they could only fly towards deserted regions like the Bailin Ocean. Furthermore, the Bailin Ocean was shared territory among Russia and the U.S. Then the plane could be in some island in the Pacific or near Japan. It was another 2-hour journey, and it was already 2 a.m. Yi Mo dropped onto the raft tiredly. After eating a simple meal, Yi Mo's chi started to recover. After another hour, although his chi was far from a fully recovering, it was much better than before. There were all sorts of strange noises in the sea at night, but they didn't bother Yi Mo. He planned to keep searching during the day after he was fully recovered. At that moment, he would have sworn to have heard the faint horn of an engine. It was probably a ship passing by. Yi Mo packed away the raft. He wanted to see what kind of ship it was. When Yi Mo approached it, he found out it was a normal fishing ship. But a fishing ship appearing in the middle of the Pacific at midnight was a bit eerie. A slightly larger wave could knock the ship over. Yi Mo turned invisible and landed on the ship. He sent his spirit sense in. There were large amounts of search tools and even an advanced radar. What would a fishing ship be searching for? Suddenly, Yemo focused. He saw the black sun symbol again. There were 4 people on the ship, and they were all speaking Japanese. The 4 men had been probably searching for a long time, but hadn't been able to find anything, and were returning now. Yemo didn't disturb them. He knew that he wouldn't be able to ask them anything, nor could he search their souls. So he could only follow them and see what their final destination was. The ship had 2 engines and went very fast. Yemo realized this fishing ship was far more powerful than it looked. An hour later, the sky wasn't even bright, yet when the ship stopped on a barren island. The island wasn't big. It was more like a rather large coral reef. The 4 men packed away the radar and docked the ship before entering the island. This island was only around 1 square kilometer. The 4 men got off and headed to the center. Yemo followed them. He found out there was a wooden house in the center and also a small pond not far away from it. If this coral island wasn't in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, Yemo really would have thought it was a temporary home made by fishermen, but now he was certain that the 4 men weren't fishermen. Plus, they had brought along a searching radar. Yemo had been scanned by radars before, and he knew his invisibility couldn't trick high-level radars. He didn't know if the Japanese's radar was more advanced than the U.S. radars, but Yemo still tried to be careful. However, what Yemo didn't expect was that after he only had walked a few steps, a siren went off. Then, the 4 men who had gone inside all rushed and pointed guns at Yemo, muttering in Japanese. Yemo looked down. He hadn't been caught by the radar. However, he stood on alarm mine. These Japanese men were really cunning. If he hadn't searched with his spirit sense carefully, he wouldn't have been able to find the trap on the floor. Does anyone of you understand Chinese? Although he had been caught, Yemo wasn't too annoyed. If he couldn't discover anything hidden, then he would show himself and interrogate them. After hearing Yemo's words, the 4 men looked at each other and then scanned the open sea. They wondered how Yemo had got on the island, but they soon gave each other signs and shot at Yemo's legs. They didn't want Yemo's life, they just wanted to capture him. But after the first gunshot, they immediately realized that Yemo was gone. Yemo only needed to look at their expressions to realize none of them understood Chinese. At the same time, a few wind blades were shot. He left 1 alive, and the other 3 men were cut into many pieces. The remaining one saw that in an instant his 3 team members all turned into bits of flesh. He couldn't even understand how Yemo had attacked. He took a few steps back subconsciously and uttered something. He could see that Yemo only kept him alive to interrogate him. Yemo had realized that he didn't understand Chinese, and it would be hard to ask him anything. He would keep him alive in order to bring him to Hong Kong. The man saw Yemo coming to him. He quickly took something and dumped it into his mouth. Yemo stopped. He witnessed what the man had done. Was it some potential activation pill? But then, Yemo realized he was wrong. The man's face had already turned black. Poison? Yemo approached him and grabbed the man's wrist. He found out that the poison was very potent. In that short time, his stomach and intestines had already been dissolved. Yemo let the man go. In order to save him, he would need to use large amounts of spirit chi and multiple lotus life pills. They were both precious, and he wasn't willing to waste them. What is more, he knew that Ning Qingxue would probably jump in midway. Even if he saved the man, he wouldn't get any information. Yemo wasn't interested in their great scheme. He wanted to keep this man alive, not to ask him what their scheme was, but to bring him to their HQ to get revenge. Yemo walked into the small wooden house. The first thing he saw was an open parachute. It was still wet. Was this the one Qingxue had used? Yemo got excited. Perhaps these people also came to find Ning Qingxue. They might have been afraid that Ning Qingxue knew too much and would expose them. That's why they went there to look for her. Yi Mo started searching inside the hut. Other than diesel and some daily items, he didn't find anything. Yi Mo walked up to those men he had killed and searched their bodies. Yi Mo found a diary. He opened it. There were multiple ocean maps in it. He could almost be sure that they were looking for Ning Qingxue. Yi Mo walked up to those men he had killed and searched their bodies. Yi Mo found a diary. He opened it. There were multiple ocean maps in it. He could almost be sure that they were looking for Ning Qingxue. Although Yi Mo didn't understand the words on it, he still recognized the name, Ning Qingxue. Yi Mo found on the diary the location where the parachute was found. However, these were marked with longitude and latitude. He picked up the radar from the ground and realized he didn't know how to use it. He searched the entire Coral Island, but didn't find anything about the Black Sun Empire. He could confirm two things so far. First, Ning Qingxue was safe when she jumped down. At least the parachute had opened. Second, Ning Qingxue hadn't been found by these people yet, which meant that she was still in the ocean. Although Yi Mo hated the Black Sun Empire a lot, he knew his priorities. Even if he wanted to look for trouble with them, he had to find Ning Qingxue first. Yi Mo carefully left his spirit sense mark in the room, as well as on their black sun symbols, before leaving on the fishing boat to search for Ning Qingxue, while learning how to use the radar. It took Yi Mo only 2 hours to figure out how to operate it. Using the radar to look around, Yi Mo was able to know which regions have been searched. That way, the search went much faster. It was way better than him flying in the air without a clue. The main thing was that he could conserve larger amounts of qi. Yi Mo tried to focus on the places the 4 men hadn't been yet. After half a day, a fog billowed over the ocean. The air also seemed colder. Many glaciers started to float by Yi Mo's ship. Yi Mo realized he seemed to have come to a group of glaciers. The more Yi Mo searched, the more he was worried. Not only was the weather cold, there were no islands nearby. If she had fallen there, then even if she hadn't starved, she would still have frozen to death. The incident had occurred many days ago. Who knew if Ning Qingxue was still alive? Yi Mo was getting more and more worried. Near midnight, Yi Mo heard a voice calling out for help. Although Yi Mo could tell it was a male voice, Yi Mo still came to his rescue. It was a white male in his 30s sitting on a very small flotation hoop. He seemed like he was about to die. His lips were cracked, and his skin was pale and soaked from staying in the water for so long. From his lifeless eyes, one could see he was not far from death. Yi Mo sighed. He hadn't found the person he looked for. Instead, he had came across someone else in need for help. He didn't understand how someone could appear in the middle of the ocean all by himself. But Yi Mo wasn't heartless. He approached him and pulled him on the ship. He gave him a pill before tossing him food and water. He could see this person was in this state due to dehydration. For the time being, he gave him a heart-saving pill, food, and water. This man was saved. After the pill melted in his mouth, the white man didn't have time to thank Yi Mo before quickly drinking a bottle of water and eating 2 cans. He had to admire the man's perseverance to live. After eating the food and water, he was obviously in better state. He kept on saying thank you to Yi Mo. Other than thank you, Yi Mo couldn't understand anything else. He just knew the man was talking in English. Seeing that he couldn't talk to this man, Yi Mo lost the interest to say anything and just kept fidgeting with the radar. The man saw Yi Mo take out the radar and muttered something again. "Do you know how to use this equipment?" Yi Mo asked subconsciously. "Are you Chinese?" Unexpectedly, the man spoke very fluent Chinese. Then he said excitedly, "I thought you were Korean or Japanese. I didn't expect you to be Chinese." As though the man thought his sentence had made Yi Mo unhappy, he quickly said, "Sorry, this is the Pacific Ocean. Chinese people rarely come here. But once again, thanks for saving my life." I'm Eden, American, but I like Chinese culture. After finding out that Eden could speak Chinese, Yemo was interested. He really wanted to know how Eden had got to this situation. As though he knew what Yemo wanted to say, he started telling his story without Yemo having to ask. Eden was a professional U.S. golfer. He fell in love with a wealthy man's daughter, Daphne. However, Daphne didn't have feelings for him. Eden was a very persistent man when he changed from a sprinter to a golfer. No one believed he would succeed, but he managed to make a name for himself through his talent and hard work. Although he wasn't really famous now, he believed he could reach the level of Tiger Woods. However, his sports career didn't bring him much wealth, and Daphne was the daughter of a wealthy U.S. businessman. Eden found it hard to even go to the same venues she did, much less pursue her. But Eden didn't give up. He had found out that Daphne was taking the luxury cruiser Bima from Los Angeles to Canada. He immediately used all his savings to buy a ticket. He wanted to copy Jack from Titanic and get Daphne's heart on the Bima. It's said that the Bima was the most advanced luxury cruiser in the world. But contrary to the Titanic, this was already the Bima's third journey. Those who have taken the Bima all believe it could beat any 8-star hotel in terms of comfort. However, the ticket price was also absurd. Only someone like Eden would use all his savings to get on it. Originally, this cruiser was very safe, but on the 6th day after leaving from the U.S., for some reason, it suddenly changed direction. Its original route was very safe, but an incident had happened to the Bima. The U.S. forces had detected an alien invasion in the Pacific. The aliens had even taken out a U.S. submarine. Eventually, all the military power was drawn to the spot of the alien invasion, and no one cared about the Bima after it left its original route. When people aboard realized that they had been abducted, the ship had already gone significantly off its original course. The first thing that Eden did after knowing the ship was hijacked was to go protect Daphne. But at that moment, the ship was filled with terrorists. Not only did they disable the alarms, they also steered the cruiser deep into the ocean. The basic bunker Eden was at, and the luxury bunker, which Daphne was at, were separated. Eden could only worry. The captain and many crew members were killed, as well as those who resisted. Even those who looked a little bulky were killed. Not only did these people take the money, but also the women. Other than some old and ugly women who were killed, the younger ones were taken onto a ship with an upside-down skull on its flag. Eden managed to jump down into a flotation hook at first notice, because there were too many passengers at the time, and he wasn't the only one who had jumped. The terrorists didn't have time to care about all of them, and so he escaped. After hearing Eden say this, Yemo sighed. He didn't expect to hear about pirates hijacking a luxury cruiser. The U.S. brags about its military power all the time, but they let pirates capture a luxury cruiser at their doorstep while they were still trying to capture aliens. However, Yemo also felt guilty. He had indeed attracted most of the U.S.'s military power in the sea, allowing the pirates to have an opportunity. But even so, these pirates had unusually big balls. It was like hanging their heads on their belts, trying to hijack a ship going from Los Angeles to Canada. Yemo knew these pirates weren't ordinary ones. They couldn't have known for sure that he would attract the U.S. military forces, since they didn't know, but they still dared to make a move. That meant that even without him being a distraction, they might have succeed. Other than that pirate flag, did you see anything else? Yemo wasn't too interested in this. But this had happened at the same time Ning Qingshu had jumped. Hence, this made him want to go ask the pirates about it. Eden immediately said, at the time, there were 2 ships with sails. To be honest, I really couldn't believe there were ships with sails on the Pacific Ocean. I saw the pirates kick the women onto the 2 ships as they robbed everything. I desperately wanted to escape to get someone to save Daphne. So I don't know what they did to the Bima. Were there 2 ships? Yemo repeated. because Yi Mo asked. Eden thought Yi Mo doubted his words and added reassuringly, yes, there were 2 ships with sails, and there was a huge upside-down skull at the head of the ship, because Yi Mo asked. Eden thought Yi Mo doubted his words and added reassuringly, yes, there were 2 ships with sails, and there was a huge upside-down skull at the head of the ship. Yi Mo picked up the radar and asked, do you know how to use this? Eden nodded. Yes, this radar is a U.S. military radar, SY-923. I used it when I served the Army. It's a bit old, but it's not bad. Yi Mo didn't expect Eden to have served in the Army. He tossed the radar to Eden and said, take me to where the Bima was hijacked. I want to see it. What? Do you want us two to go to that place? Eden looked at Yi Mo in shock. It was suicide. They didn't have a single weapon. Death was the easy way out if they were to look for those cruel pirates. Yi Mo could tell what Eden was thinking from his face and said, if we go there now, the pirates will be long gone. What are you afraid of? If you're afraid, then do as you wish. I have food on the ship, and you can take with you as much as you can carry, but I'm going. Eden looked at the small hoop. He knew that no matter how much food he had, that flotation ring wouldn't save him. At most, he would live a few days more. Okay, in that case, I'll take you there, Eden said. Helplessly, Yi Mo nodded and gave him a look of approval. Eden was not a bad person. He was one. 9 tall and large, but he hadn't tried to force Yi Mo off the fishing boat. Yi Mo could tell that Eden hadn't even thought about it. He was a good-natured person. If Yi Mo were in his shoes, he wouldn't have killed him, but he would have at least knocked him out. If it had been a cultivator from Luo, Yu continent, he would have killed Eden and taken the boat for sure. Yi Mo gave the radar to Eden and let him drive the boat. He saved his life. Now Eden needed to prove his worth. Luckily, Eden didn't disappoint Yi Mo. On the Sulphur Island, Ning Qingxue kept running. A huge lake appeared in front of her eyes. The water was very clear, and there was steam coming off the surface. It was like a hot spring. Ning Qingxue looked back. That eerie bone ship was blocked by things and couldn't be seen. She stared at the center of the island. The smell of sulfur seemed to be getting stronger and stronger there. Ning Qingxue's heart stopped for a second. It was an active volcano indeed. Living there was like living on a bomb, but she didn't have any choice. Ning Qingxue put these thoughts aside and walked towards the lake. She felt the water. It was lukewarm. She tried drinking it, and it was fresh water. The joyful Ning Qingxue was no longer scared. She quickly took off her clothes and jumped into the water. These last days on the glacier had been very uncomfortable for her. She was a hygienic person, and a few days without showering made her very uncomfortable. After taking a shower, she washed all of her clothes and cultivated some more meridian cycles by the lake. The water on her clothes evaporated on its own. Ning Qingxue felt very light after taking the shower. She picked up her bag. She wanted to find a place to live by the lake. Although she could go find some other places beyond the lake, the hot spring caught Ning Qingxue's interest. If she couldn't find another place with fresh water, she would have to come over and get water every day. Ning Qingxue walked nearby the lake for a long time and finally found a small cave by the hills. Ning Qingxue didn't know what kind of animal had made this, but it was rather clean and spacious. There was a huge rock next to the cave. The cave was very well hidden. The only thing was that Ning Qingxue could still see the ship from the cave. That ship was the thing Ning Qingxue hated the most. But other than that cave, Ning Qingxue hadn't been able to find a better place to live. Thus, she could only clean the cave and cut some branches with her dagger to block the entrance. After everything was ready, she lied down on a big rock inside. She hadn't slept in days. If she hadn't been able to cultivate, she might have gone mad. Ning Qingxue soon fell asleep after lying down. She had been really tired these last few days. After sleeping for a long time, she thought she had seen a black figure dash in front of her, but her vision was blurry. This woke Ning Qingxue up immediately. She grabbed the gun next to her and that black shadow disappeared from the cave in an instant. Ning Qingxue was no longer tired. What could that be? She didn't see clearly. She got off the rock and walked carefully to the entrance of the cave. The sun was up now. She had slept for more than 10 hours. However, the fog made the island seem very blurry. Was she hallucinating again? Ning Qingxue murmured. Ning Qingxue carefully checked the branches on the cave. They didn't seem to have been moved. She picked up the necklace on her chest again. Did you save my life once again? Although she didn't know if that black shadow was real or not, Ning Qingxue didn't dare to sleep again. She went outside and checked the landscape around her. As soon as Ning Qingxue walked outside, the deadly silent island was pierced by a loud shriek. Ning Qingxue was fraught with problems. She thought there were no animals on the island, but she had heard that loud shriek. She quickly tried to find a place to hide while pointing the gun outside. Two completely black, naked, primitive people walked up to her with wooden sticks in their hands from not far away. Other than a skirt made of fish skin around their waist, they didn't have anything. One of them had huge bosoms sagging down from her chest. Ning Qingxue knew she was a woman. Actually, there were people there, primitive ones. Ning Qingxue's heart palpitated rapidly. She thought of Tom Robinson's journey. Clearly, these ferocious, primitive people couldn't be compared with Friday. Ning Qingxue held her breath. She was thinking about where to go next. The island was, at most, 20 square kilometers more, or less. If there were primitive tribes living there, would they eat her? The next thing that happened almost made Ning Qingxue scream. That primitive male said something to the female, but she shook her head. But then, the male helped the female on the ground and flipped up her fishskin skirt. As the man did his business to the woman, Ning Qingxue immediately thought of the word rape. Ning Qingxue wasn't afraid to die, but this was too disgusting. She subconsciously grabbed her gun and thought about killing the man, but she didn't dare to because her aim wasn't good. She might kill the woman. Also, she was afraid of attracting more of their kind. This conflicting thought only occurred for a moment. Soon Ning Qingxue realized the immaturity of her thinking. She realized that this wasn't rape. The woman who was under the man flipped over and sat on the man. Her actions were much more wild and ferocious than the man. Not only so, she kept moaning and screaming as well. Ning Qingxue quickly turned her face away and spat. Her face blushed. How shameless. But thinking that these primitives were like animals, she didn't make a big deal out of it. Suddenly, there was another howl. Ning Qingxue looked in the direction it came, and the two people separated. The one howling was another male. The primitive people that came later seemed to care a lot about these two doing things behind his back. Ning Qingxue could tell from his angry expression. The woman separated the two men who were about to fight and pointed at a hacked branch not far away. The two men stopped arguing and walked over to the branch to check. Ning Qingxue's heart stopped for a second. They were looking at the branch she had chopped up to cover her cave. One man kept touching the end bit of the branch, as though he suspected something. Suddenly, he stood up and looked over at where Ning Qingxue hid. Ning Qingxue's heart beat rapidly again. She clenched her gun tight. They were coming over. What to do? Should she open fire? As though to prove Ning Qingxue's guess, the three primitive people started to head slowly to where Ning Qingxue was hiding. They walked carefully, using their sticks to push aside branches. As though to prove Ning Qingxue's guess, the three primitive people started to head slowly to where Ning Qingxue was hiding. They walked carefully, using their sticks to push aside branches. They knew someone was hiding there. However, they were afraid of getting ambushed. Ning Qingxue realized that if they got a few more steps looser, they would be able to see her. She didn't know whether to shoot or not. Although she wanted to, shooting would mean death. Even though they were primitive people, it was still too much for Ning Qingxue to handle. It was different from when she used the fireball to kill the Japanese man. He had tried to rape her. However, now she didn't know what to do about primitive people who hadn't hurt her yet. She thought of how the primitive man treated that woman and felt scared. If the man saw her, she didn't dare to think of the results. Just when she was hesitating whether or not to shoot, the three of them suddenly stopped. The woman pointed at the ship and screamed. They had seen the ship, as Ning Qingxue understood, and they could also see the ship from where they stood. The man who had come later also screamed and ran to the ship. Seeing him go, the other two followed, as though going later would mean that all the goods are gone. Ning Qingxue saw the three leave and felt relieved. If those three really had got to her, she would have had no choice but to fire, and that might have attracted more of them. Ning Qingxue went to the entrance of the cave and moved the branches a little, looking through them. She wanted to know what would happen if they managed to get on the ship. It wasn't very far, and Ning Qingxue could clearly see the three savages running to the side of the ship and charging at it. Two of them went in, yet one stayed outside. From their very familiar movements, Ning Qingxue guessed that it wasn't their first time seeing these ships come over. Their ancestors might have had an accident in the sea, therefore stayed there and reproduced. After a moment, the two who had gone inside ran out and jumped into the sea. Ning Qingxue saw clearly that the two men who had jumped into the sea didn't come out. The woman who was waiting on the island screamed after seeing them jump and ran for her life. She could also feel there was something wrong with the ship. Ning Qingxue felt scared. This ship was eerie indeed. The woman screamed louder and louder. Soon there were other sounds. Ning Qingxue confirmed her theory. There were others indeed. The woman saw these people. She came and ran to them while screaming, trying to express something. After speaking for a while, she suddenly fell to the ground and didn't make any noise. Two primitive women tried to pull her up and wake her up, but she didn't react. The primitive tribe went around the dead woman and approached the ship, leaving her behind. Ning Qingxue watched, wanting to see what the remaining people would do. However, the woman who had dropped dead on the ground suddenly got up. Ning Qingxue was confused. Had she lied? But the next scene shocked Ning Qingxue even more. The woman suddenly jumped into the sea and disappeared. Ning Qingxue watched this with horror. She couldn't really comprehend why this was happening. Was that ship really a ghost ship? After thinking about this, Ning Qingxue decided not to go near it. She suddenly thought of her necklace. Did she not got into the sea like that woman thanks to it? As soon as Ning Qingxue grabbed the necklace, she felt her qi going out of control. She didn't dare to keep watching and went back to the cave. The qi inside her body was reacting to it and made her shiver. It was like she was being burned alive. Ning Qingxue knew something wasn't right. There was a problem with her cultivation. She quickly blocked the entrance and sat on the huge rock while running meridian cycles again. This time it was different than the previous cultivation. She felt the bustling of her qi as though it was trying to find a breakthrough point. Ning Qingxue didn't understand much about cultivation. After a while, Ning Qingxue felt suffocated. She was scared. It was like that qi had no place to go. If she didn't keep running the qi in meridian cycles, her meridians would burn. But as she cultivated, the qi in her dantian was getting more and more dense. Rumbling in her brain, she suddenly felt that the dense qi had a place to go as it burst open more meridians. Ning Qingxue didn't open her eyes, but rejoiced at feeling finally well. She felt relieved, as though she had broken through something. Suddenly, there was new qi rising in her dantian that immediately charged up to her Chun Lin chakra point and into her head. That sense of comfort surged. It felt comfortable, and Ning Qingxue subconsciously moaned. She didn't open her eyes. She seemed to have gotten a lot of memories back. Ning Qingxue was shook. Was this what Master Wu Guang talked about? That when her power reached a certain level, her memories would recover on their own? More and more things rushed into her brain. She immediately realized that she really had recovered her memories. The memories of her, with Yi Mo, flowed back like the tide. From how she went to Ninghai to celebrate Su Jingwen's birthday, each scene flowed back clearly. That medical case, and the receipts, that unused bank card, those bottles, the multiple times she asked for money from Yi Mo. Ning Qingshue's face grew pale. So that's how she had began with Yi Mo. Ning Qingshue's heart felt more and more pain. She didn't even dare to open her eyes now. She now understood why she didn't want a divorce with Yi Mo. She remembered when she found Yi Mo in the desert with Qi Wanqing, and Yi Mo followed her aunt, leaving her alone in the desert. When she saw Yi Mo leave, it was like her soul had gone empty. And that's when she completely fell in love with Yi Mo. Ning Qingxue didn't dare to open her eyes. She was afraid that she would lose her memories if she did. But her tears uncontrollably were flowing down her smooth white face. Chapter 416. Heart Longing for Return. Chapter 416. Heart longing for return. She remembered when Yi Mo finally accepted her at the bottom of the cliff in Shenongjia, and how happy she had been at the time. She had gone to the Flowing Snake Desert and Shenongjia for Yi Mo. Yi Mo had done a lot for her, so she felt that what she did was necessary. Also, she was in love with him, the man she married. The heaven had pitied her when she saw Yi Mo about to die under the cliff. There, she had had the most wonderful time of her life. Yi Mo ate with her, taught her cultivation, and even washed her, and carried her out of the Shenongjia. He found the face-preserving fruit, and even though knowing that it was useless to eat it straight away, he still gave her such a precious fruit, so she could eat. I still have many more, but even if this were the last one, I would give it to you if you wanted to eat it, because if you like it, I will give it to you. That was what Yi Mo had said to her. Then she also said that she forever belonged to Yi Mo. But why did she not remember him after she got hurt? Why had she been that heartless? Ning Qingxue suddenly hated herself. She hated the person who made her lose her memories even more. Her love was very important to her. It surpassed everything in her life, even her desire to live. However, when Yi Mo had gone to find her, she told him to piss off. Did I hurt you? Ning Qingshue's heart was wrenching from pain. She wanted to appear before Yi Mo immediately and tell him that that hadn't been what she truly wanted to say. She regretted that day. She shouldn't have listened to her mom and should have let Yi Mo try to recover her memories. She finally understood why she had protected this memory in her soul when she had been about to die. If it happened again, she would do it without doubt, whether it was one life or 10,000 lives. She was always going to remember Yi Mo, how he treated her, and her love for him. Ning Qingxue opened her eyes, and tears covered her face. Yi Mo was her everything. She was grateful to Li Mumei for giving her the courage to get her memories back. She couldn't understand why her mother had stopped her from getting her memories back. That was the most precious thing in her life. Yi Mo, Ning Qingxue murmured, and stood up. She didn't want to stay on that island anymore. She desperately wanted to see Yi Mo. To her, Yi Mo was her everything. She finally knew about the spirit sense. The image that she had seen in her brain was real. She remembered that girl in Ninghai called Tang Beiwei who said she was Yi Mo's sister. She felt weird. She knew that Yi Mo's sister was Yi Ling, not Tang Beiwei. Ning Qingxue grabbed the gun and got out of the cave. She didn't want to stay there anymore. She needed to get back and find Yi Mo. However, Ning Qingxue stopped walking. She realized that she had seen before about 20 savages going inside the ship. She didn't know how long she had spent recovering her memories, but from the gray sky, she could guess it had been less than 8 hours. At that moment, she looked back at the ship but didn't see anyone. Did those primitive people get killed by the ghost ship? Ning Qingxue subconsciously felt the 4 fireball charms on her. Ning Qingxue knew that if she wanted to leave, she needed to use that ghost ship. Without it, she couldn't leave the island. She checked all her weapons and forced herself to calm down. Her desperation to see Mo made her not fear the ghost ship. She believed that with her gun, the fireball charm, and the necklace, her chances of survival were greater on the ship than on the island. There were primitive people and an active volcano on the island. A piercing shriek made Ning Qingxue, who was extremely focused, shiver. She looked up, and she saw a white figure perched on a branch that was staring at Ning Qingxue. It was a strange bird like a condor. It was quite strange to see such a rare condor in the sea. However, Ning Qingxue could see intelligence and emotions in the condor's eyes. Ning Qingxue rubbed her eyes. She thought she must have seen it wrong. Could a bird have such emotions? The condor-like bird circled around Ning Qingxue and stood on top of the tree. Seeing this figure, Ning Qingxue suddenly remembered she had seen a shadow yesterday when she had been sleeping. So it was the condor. But why did it fly into the cave? Had it tried to harm her? Ning Qingxue shook her head and stopped thinking about the bird. She looked at the ship and made up her mind to go on it. Even if she didn't die here, she didn't want to live like this. After remembering her memories of Mo, she would go crazy living by herself. Seeing Ning Qingxue walk towards that ship, the bird followed her. Ning Qingxue stopped and looked at the bird with curiosity. She muttered to herself, "I'm leaving here. Why are you following me?" As though he understood Ning Qingxue's words, the bird mourned and flew around Ning Qingxue again. Ning Qingxue saw pleading in the bird's eyes. Ning Qingxue was sure she saw it. This bird was so humanistic. Ning Qingxue rubbed her red eyes and headed towards the ship. Seeing Ning Qingxue leave, the white bird yowled again and followed Ning Qingxue, circling around her. Ning Qingxue finally understood that the bird was trying to tell her something. "Do you want something from me?" Ning Qingxue asked, but then she realized, how could a bird understand her words? But then the bird nodded its head vigorously. Ning Qingxue was frozen. Could a bird this smart exist? What did it want with her, though? Ning Qingxue took out a can from her bag and put it in front of the bird. "Do you want to eat this?" The bird flew down and grabbed the can with his mouth. He put it back on Ning Qingxue's hand and flew around her again. Ning Qingxue understood this time and looked at this bird in shock. "Do you want me to take you with me?" As soon as Ning Qingxue said this, the bird nodded its head again. Ning Qingxue frowned. "Is this island not great? There are also people living here. Furthermore, not even I know if I can survive in the ocean. Your survival is uncertain." The bird heard Ning Qingxue's words and opened its wings, circling on the top of Ning Qingxue's head. It yowled while flying to the center of the island, and then returned back to Ning Qingxue. Other than anticipation, there was also melancholy in its eyes. Ning Qingxue felt the bird had a special bond with her. Was it due to her cultivation? Otherwise, there were so many primitive men there. Why didn't it go find them instead of her? Suddenly, Ning Qingxue remembered that the bird had been yowling about something going on in the center of the island. Did that mean the volcano was about to erupt? But since there were so many primitive people there, it meant that the island had existed for a long time. How could the volcano coincidentally erupt at that moment? Thinking about this, Ning Qingxue asked, "Are you saying that this island's volcano is about to erupt? Do you want to leave?" As soon as Ning Qingxue just finished speaking, the bird vigorously nodded its head. Ning Qingxue looked at the bird with joy. There was rarely such smart bird. At least Ning Qingxue had never heard of it, and this bird was willing to go with her. If that was the case, then she would have a companion with her on the way back. It was much better than being alone on a glacier. However, Ning Qingxue was very curious how this bird had arrived to the island. Looking at the more and more intense sulfur air eruptions in the center of the island, she believed that the bird was right. this island's volcano was about to erupt. Okay, in that case, follow me for now. I'm going to that ship. There might be danger there. Follow me in the air. Ning Qingxue was liking the white-feathered and humane bird more and more. Ning Qingxue saw that there was a silver plum tree leaf pattern under the bird's neck and had a sudden idea. I'll give you a name. I'll call you Silver Plum Leaf. This name is a bit long. I'll just call you Silver. Ning Qingxue saw that there was a silver plum tree leaf pattern under the bird's neck and had a sudden idea. I'll give you a name. I'll call you Silver Plum Leaf. This name is a bit long. I'll just call you Silver. The bird seemingly understood Ning Qingshue's words and chirped. This sounded different to the yowling. It was a happy sound. She could tell that it didn't really understand what Ning Qingxue meant with that name. After all, it was just a bird. Normally, animals have premonitions to sense danger. Since Silver had had this premonition, this meant that the volcano really was about to erupt. Although she had Silver by her side, Silver was a bird after all. Ning Qingxue approached the ship. The hand which held the gun was sweating a lot. Sometimes the unknown was the most terrifying. If she had been facing a lion or a tiger, she might have not been that scared. After all, it was something she could see. As she got closer to the ship, Ning Qingxue had an uneasy feeling. She couldn't just charge at it like the primitive people had done. Her surroundings were eerily silent. If there weren't clustered footprints, Ning Qingxue couldn't have been really sure that they had all gone on the ship. Ning Qingxue jumped aboard and immediately felt a bleak wind attacking her. The necklace on her chest emitted a light barrier and pushed the bleak wind away. Ning Qingxue could even faintly hear a scream. Silver flew to the top of the boat behind Ning Qingxue. Its expression was worried like hers. Ning Qingxue looked at the necklace. She knew it had saved her once again. She subconsciously looked back at Silver and felt a little assured. She said to Silver, "Stay behind me." Silver immediately jumped down and followed Ning Qingxue closely. Ning Qingxue looked around the ship. It was empty. Ning Qingxue stopped on the deck, and her spirit sense scanned inside. It was the same as yesterday, a table of food and wine, mostly cooked food, but she couldn't see a single person. Suddenly, she felt her spirit sense scan a black shadow, but immediately after, it was gone, and it looked like it had gone into the bottom bunker. Ning Qingxue stopped. She felt goosebumps. She hadn't expected her spirit sense to be able to detect that shadow. So, the spirit sense could see things the eyes couldn't. She was scared of what she couldn't see. Once she saw it, she was no longer scared. Ning Qingxue walked into the ship's compartments. There were 2 levels, the surface level and the bottom bunker. Ning Qingxue remembered that the black shadow disappeared into the bottom bunker. At that moment, her spirit sense found a black shadow charging at her. Ning Qingxue subconsciously moved aside and sprayed her gun at the shadow. Bang, bang, bang. It had been an extraordinarily clear sound in the silent boat, but Ning Qingxue could see the black shadow retreat back inside unscathed. Her gun had no effect on the shadow. It was really a ghost. Ning Qingshue's hands shook. If Silver didn't chirp from time to time, she would have gone crazy by then, being in the depth of a boundless ocean on a spooky boat. She remembered the shriek in the heaven pit at Shen Nongjia. If Emo hadn't left her a protection charm, she would have died. But that day, she seemed to be facing an even stronger ghoul. From what Emo had said, they weren't afraid of bullets. If Emo hadn't given her the necklace, she would have ended up like those primitive men. Thinking about this, Ning Qingxue shook again. Were all the people aboard this ship killed by the ghoul like the primitive people? Why was the ghoul doing this? When the ghoul had charged at her, she felt as though it was trying to devour her soul. Did these ghouls devour people's souls? She wouldn't have believed in these sort of stuff before she started cultivated either, But there were many things in this world that science couldn't explain. Ning Qingxue looked at Silver, who was following her closely, and she felt a little relived. She put the gun away, took out a fireball charm, and walked into the bottom bunker. She knew that the gun was useless. It was a pity Yemo wasn't there. If he were there, he could see that the ghoul was similar to the one he had annihilated at Chun, and, however, the ghoul had been purposely raised by the red-robed woman from the Nine Moon sect. Normally, people's spirits disappeared naturally from the world after death. That some spirits condense and don't dissolve must be due to some special reason. Ning Qingxue kept her spirit sense open. As soon as she went into the bottom bunker, she found the black shadow hiding on the side. However, with her power, she could only see a black figure. If it had been Yemo, he would have been able to see that the spirit had a solid, not mist-like shape. He would have immediately realized that there must be a ghost keeper behind that ghoul, just like the red-robed woman. When Ning Qingxue saw the ghoul, she felt scared but still gathered up courage and walked towards it. But she had only walked 2 steps when she stopped, changing directions. She remembered the speed of the ghoul. It was too fast. And she was sure the ghoul would be able to see her if she walked over. She wouldn't be able to ambush it for sure. As soon as Ning Qingxue changed directions, the black figure that was about to move stopped. Food and water splashed everywhere. Ning Qingxue avoided these things and neared the shadow. When she was just about 3 meters from it, Ning Qingxue threw out her fireball charm and yelled Lin. The black shadow didn't expect Ning Qingxue to suddenly do this. In that instant, it got consumed by the fireball. There was a loud shriek. Then the fireball disappeared, and so did the black shadow along with it. Ning Qingxue breathed, relieved. Finally, the ghoul had been annihilated. The fireball charm was stronger than a submachine gun. But Ning Qingxue immediately realized it wasn't that the fireball charm was stronger than the gun, but more like the fireball charm was more effective against ghosts. Ning Qingxue searched the bottom bunker again and couldn't find anything strange. She didn't know how lucky she had been this time. This ghoul was a ghoul that escaped after Yemo killed the red-robed woman. Somehow it was taken to America and went on the Bima. When the pirates took the women, it also followed them. Those people had made it stronger. However, its master was killed by Yemo. It fed following basic instincts. If Ning Qingxue hadn't had the necklace, she would have died countless times. Or if that red-robed woman was still there, Ning Qingxue still wouldn't have been able to escape. As though it knew that Ning Qingxue had annihilated the ghoul, Silver chirped, celebrating her master's victory. Ning Qingxue wiped some sweat off her forehead and waved to Silver. They walked up to the surface. Although she had annihilated the ghoul, she really didn't want to stay in the bottom bunker. She could guess that the entirety of the people in the ship were gone due to the ghoul, so she didn't feel like staying in that dark, bleak bunker. Returning to the top, Ning Qingxue remembered an important thing. She didn't know how to pilot the ship nor use the sail to control the direction. Ning Qingxue smiled bitterly and walked to the head of the ship. Suddenly, she was dazed. The ship had been perched next to the island, and she didn't control the sails. But now, the ship was far from that island. Chapter 4:18 Volcano on the Sea. Chapter 4:18 Volcano on the sea. Although the ship didn't have an anchor, it stayed next to the island for a day and night. How come as soon as she annihilated the ghoul, the ship left? Ning Qingxue suddenly remembered something. A few days ago, when the ship went past her glacier, she thought to have heard rustling on the ship. Had the black shadow also caused that? Thinking about this, all of a sudden, there was sound in the basement. Ning Qingxue stood up abruptly. She scanned her spirit sense down, but there was nothing. At that moment, The ship was on its way, and Ning Qingxue couldn't find anything with her spirit sense. She didn't have the courage to go down there a second time. She felt the necklace on her chest and rested easy a little. Although she couldn't see the ghoul, she had her defense necklace. Silver didn't seem to notice there was something down there and still jumped around at the top of the ship. Ning Qingxue suddenly said, "I don't care what you are, but if you dare to come up again, I'll use this fireball on you. You can stay on the ship, but if you disturb me and Silver, I will make you disappear immediately." Although it was a threat, Ning Qingxue was scared while saying this, as though whatever was inside feared Ning Qingxue's words. No more sounds came from below again. Ning Qingxue breathed at ease. It seemed her threat had worked. She threw all the desks and chairs into the sea and found a place to sit. The thing probably wasn't afraid of her, but afraid of her necklace. Silver saw Ning Qingxue sit down and jumped next to her. Suddenly, there was a rumble. Fire crossed half of the sky. Hence, Ning Qingxue stood up and walked to the head of the ship, where Silver was. She noticed that the sulfur island was in flames. Lava burst into the air with dust and smoke. It even splashed the ship Ning Qingxue was on. The volcano had erupted. If she had hesitated before, she would have been turned into dust on the island. Looking at the strength of the eruption, Ning Qingxue knew the island was gone, and so was the primitive tribe on it. Although she didn't know them, Ning Qingxue still felt sad. Human life was this weak in the awakening of nature's power. At that moment, Yi Mo was on the fishing ship. He had stopped where Eden first escaped. Other than wind, there was nothing else. There were no signs of the incident. Eden saw that Yi Mo's face wasn't happy and said, "I think those pirates are long gone." Yi Mo sneered but didn't say anything. At that moment, there was a huge explosion in the distance, and then a burst of lava into the air. "Oh my God, it's a volcanic eruption. This is amazingly grand, yet terrifying," Eden exclaimed. Was it some active volcanic island? This was the first time Yi Mo saw a volcanic eruption. He felt uneasy. "Eden, drive the boat over to the volcanic eruption." Eden was dazed. The eruption had just started. If they drove the ship over and got caught in it, how could they live? Seeing Eden still hesitate, Yi Mo's expression sunk and said, "Eden, do you think you can get Daphne with balls like that?" Eden blushed and immediately said, "I'm not being timid, this is being reasonable. If we pilot the boat over, we might get caught in the volcanic eruption. You're wrong if you think there's only one place where lava erupts. There are other active spots under the ocean. If we get closer, one of them might erupt right under us." Yi Mo said plainly, "You talk so much, but all I'm really getting is that you're afraid die. If you fear death, then let me pilot." Yi Mo didn't kick him off the boat this time. After all, he couldn't have said that on a whim. Eden didn't reply to Yi Mo and just piloted the ship to the volcanic island. He drove very fast, as though he was trying to prove to Yi Mo he wasn't afraid of death. Yi Mo smiled. However, neither Yi Mo nor Ning Qingxue could expect that their ships would brush past each other. One was leaving the island. The other one went there. The fishing boat soon was in the range of the island. There was just lava everywhere. Even at such a distance, one could feel the scorching heat. Yi Mo looked at the endless lava and said helplessly, "Let's go." He knew that even if there had been any evidence on the island, it was gone now. Eden wanted Yi Mo to say that. As soon as Yi Mo said it, he piloted the ship away. Yi Mo was getting impatient, after not having been able to find Ning Qingxue for days. After spending 2 days with Yi Mo, Eden also knew that Yi Mo had come there to find his wife. He had the feeling that they were both on the same predicament. Yi Mo knew he was being impetuous, and he sat at the top of the ship in silence. He used cultivation to calm himself. Eden saw this and shut his mouth. He focused on controlling the ship and using the radar. 6 hours later, a bright moon appeared in the sky. The night sea was quiet and calm, unlike the day. Eden thought about how lucky they had been not to have encountered any storms. If they did, their boat could sink easily. Yemo finished a big meridian cycle and felt easy and calm. At that moment, he heard Eden scream, "What's wrong?" Yemo immediately appeared next to Eden. Eden didn't even notice how Yemo had come. He just pointed at the radar screen excitedly. "I found 2 targets 50 nautical miles away." Yemo stood up and said, "Then what are you waiting for? Let's approach them." Ning Qingxue didn't know how to control a boat. Furthermore, even if she did, she wouldn't know which direction to go. She could only pull the sails as high as possible and let the ship go on its own. In less than half a day, Ning Qingxue encountered another ship. If it wasn't for Silver, she wouldn't have even known there was another ship driving towards them. Because Ning Qingxue needed to cultivate, she told Silver to guard her. She stopped due to Silver's chirps of alarm. Ning Qingxue looked at the direction Silver pointed with her head. There really was a ship. It was still blurry, but under the moonlight she could confirm it was a ship, and it was driving towards her. Was she saved? The first thought she had was that she could finally see Yemo. As long as a ship brought her on land, then no matter which country it was, she could get back. When the ship got closer, Ning Qingxue saw the flag on that ship. Her face immediately went pale. Her new hope was gone. Now she felt horror. The ship was exactly the same as hers, and one could see the upside-down skull. The owner of this ship was probably from the same group as that ship. Now that those people had caught up, what could she do? The ship was clearly heading towards her. Ning Qingxue grabbed her gun. She could see the people on that ship. There were at least tens of people on it. Ning Qingxue wouldn't naively think that a proper ship would have such a flag. This was obviously a pirate ship. Ning Qingxue really wanted to put her sails down and go on another direction, but she didn't know how to pilot the ship. Seeing the ship near her, Ning Qingxue gave up on trying to control the ship with sails and grabbed her gun. Seeing the ship near her, Ning Qingxue gave up on trying to control the ship with sails and grabbed her gun. As the ship appeared before her eyes, the tens of people on it stared straight at Ning Qingxue, their eyes like those of ravenous wolves. It was as though they couldn't see the gun in her hands at all, but only the goddess like Ning Qingxue. There were about 10 meters in between them, but Ning Qingxue actually heard them gulping from that distance. Her heart sunk. She wanted to open fire, but she wouldn't be able to kill this many pirates with her gun. God, such a beautiful woman. I must have her. The leading white man sighed. Although it was English, Ning Qingxue could understand it. "Sean, that is our leader's ship. That woman is there, but how come I don't see our leader?" At this moment, the bulky man next to that white man remembered their purpose. They came to find their lost leader, not pretty women. However, this woman was too beautiful. These words made everyone on the ship refocus. They didn't see their leader on their leader's ship, yet saw an insanely beautiful woman. In this boundless sea, this seemed a little creepy. She's actually holding a gun. Ha! There was laughter everywhere. No one took her gun seriously. "Put your gun down and come to our ship," a man yelled through a horn to Ning Qingxue. Ning Qingxue could hear their words clearly, and as she understood English, she now knew what her fate would be were she to fall in their hands. Ning Qingxue suddenly saw the leader raise his hand, and a white light came howling at her wrist. Flying dart? Ning Qingxue reacted instantaneously, yet didn't manage to dodge it. Before the dart could strike her, it was blocked by a white light. Ning Qingxue knew it had to be the necklace protecting her again. She looked down at it. It had gotten a lot dimmer. Ning Qingxue felt very angry. She didn't expect these foreigners to be so good at using projectiles. She immediately grabbed the gun and started shooting at them. Those pirates were experienced, though. The moment Ning Qingxue raised her gun, almost everyone squatted down. Other than one unlucky guy who was struck by a bullet, everyone else had dodged it. She knew that the reason she was even able to fire her weapon at all was because these pirates didn't want to kill her and wanted her alive. Ning Qingxue quickly hid inside the ship as the pirates just kept sailing forward. After a few gunshots, she noticed the sails on the ship were down, and it had stopped its rapid speed. Ning Qingxue suddenly felt sad. Not because she was about to die to pirates, but because she didn't get to see Emo. She wasn't afraid of death, but she didn't want to die like this. She didn't even get to see Emo to say sorry and make up for what she did. Ning Qingxue changed the clip. She only had 2 in total. Silver snuck up to Ning Qingxue as though feeling Ning Qingxue's helplessness. It could only whimper every now and then. Woman, put down your weapon and walk out. We promise we won't hurt you, but if you resist any more, we will blow up your ship. The voice sounded again. Ning Qingxue bit her lips and ran out from the crevice, spraying bullets once more. This time, she hit 2 people. The remaining people seemed to have been angered by her. Despite their anger, though, they still didn't shoot, afraid of hurting Ning Qingxue. 2 bombs landed on Ning Qingxue's ship, immediately blasting out 2 large holes on the head of the ship. They didn't bomb any further and kept on threatening through the horn. Ning Qingxue hid in one corner with Silver. She knew she only had around bullets left. If she started shooting once more, she would run out of bullets. Even though her fireball charm was powerful, it could only kill around 3 people. Just when Ning Qingxue was desperately thinking of ideas, she felt the ship shake. Ning Qingxue subconsciously looked back at the ship's head. A metal anchor had landed on the ship directly into the hole. The reason why those pirates had blasted holes on the ship was to land their anchor. A white rope connected the anchor to their ship. Ning Qingxue knew she had no path of retreat now. Ning Qingxue suddenly stood up. She was going to fire her gun one last time before jumping into the sea to commit suicide. Silver, after I jump into the sea, fly away. There might be an island nearby. That will be much better than staying here and waiting to die. Ning Qingxue patted Silver's plumage. She would miss this bird. If it wasn't for Silver accompanying her, she would have felt like it was torture staying on this ghost ship. But Silver had given her courage. With Silver's company, she was even able to cultivate. Silver could clearly understand her as it started whimpering, but suddenly it stopped. It started chirping instead and pulled Ning Qingxue's sleeve with its beak, as though wanting her to take a look at something. Ning Qingxue subconsciously looked in the direction Silver was pointing with its beak. She saw another boat come over. Silver intended for her to get on that boat and escape. Ning Qingxue smiled bitterly. That ship was fast indeed, but she could see that it was merely a fishing boat. She stopped paying it any heed back and patted Silver's feathers. That's a fishing boat. The people on it can't even protect themselves. How can they save us? The other ship's people also noticed the fishing boat and pointed their guns at it. Once the boat got in their shooting range, they would fire at it. The reason they didn't deal killing blows to Ning Qingxue's ship was on one hand because it was their leader's ship, and on the other hand because Ning Qingxue was such an otherworldly beauty. When it came to pirates, they only pursued 2 things in life: money and women. However, what they didn't understand was that this fishing boat didn't avoid them, yet actually accelerated as it sped over. What they didn't understand, even more, was how there could be a fishing boat this deep in open water. Eden saw from far away that the 2 ships he detected with his radar had skull flags on them. He wanted to change course right away, but Yi Mo stopped him. Eden didn't know what Yi Mo's name was, so he could only call out desperately, "Those 2 ships are the ones I talked about. Those are pirate ships. They have weapons. It's suicide if we go there. Yi Emo walked slowly to the head of the ship and said, "Wasn't your Daphne taken by them?" Eden said without hesitation, "Yes, they were the ones who took her away. They killed countless passengers on the Bima and took all the women aboard. They're demons." Yi Emo sneered. "Even though these demons took your Daphne, you're not going to save her? Instead, you're going to run away? I don't think your love for her was genuine at all. In that case, you can run away, but I need to go over and have a look." Of course Yi Emo was going over. He wouldn't let anyone he saw in this region of the sea go just like that. What if these people knew where Ning Qingxue was? No, it's suicide to go there. I will go back to call for help to save Daphne. Otherwise, I'll die for nothing with Daphne still not being saved. Eden saw that Yi Emo was misunderstanding him and quickly explained. Approaching it from Eden's perspective, Yi Emo knew that he was right. It would mean suicide for him to go there if he were alone. Yi Emo smiled. "Eden, if you trust me, then come with me to save your Daphne. If you don't, then get on your hoop and flee. These pirates are no threat to me, but you need to choose fast. Our ship is nearing theirs." Eden's face changed rapidly and eventually he sighed. Even if he didn't trust Yi Emo, it was too late now anyway. He was only a couple hundred meters away from the two ships. Even if he did jump now, he would be seen and caught by the pirates. If he was going to die either way, he might as well go along with this bold Chinese guy and fight. Rumble, a bomb landed at the rim of the boat. Eden felt the boat shake. He knew it was over now. The pirates were firing without an ounce of hesitation. Eden tried to control the boat to go a little further. Then he yelled to Yi Emo at the head of the boat, "Get in quickly, I need to change direction dash." But as soon as he finished saying this, he realized in shock that the Chinese guy was gone. He had still been standing at the head of the ship a moment ago, yet after that cannon blast, he was gone. The moment the bomb fell on the ship, Yi Emo was already flying to the pirate ship, but he only got halfway. What he saw with his spirit sense almost made him fall in the water. The moment the bomb fell on the ship, Yi Emo was already flying to the pirate ship, but he only got halfway. What he saw with his spirit sense almost made him fall in the water. Ning Qingxue. It was Qingxue. Yi Emo would have never thought that he would see Ning Qingxue at that moment. Yi Emo soon came to his senses. He really had found Ning Qingxue. He changed directions immediately and flew onto Ning Qingxue's ship. Yi Emo was so fast that no one even saw him. Ning Qingxue was as if she had been hit by lightning. She stared dumbly at Yi Emo, who gradually descended on the ship. Crank, the gun in her hands, had fallen on the ground, but she didn't even notice. "Yi Emo, is it really you? Have I died? Why am I hallucinating?" Ning Qingxue murmured to herself. She couldn't believe that her yearning had touched the heavens and had allowed her to see Yi Emo before she died. But seeing Yi Emo then, other than an illusion before death, what else could it be? How could Yi Emo appear on the ship for no reason? Seeing Ning Qingxue's expression and emaciated figure, Yi Emo's heart ached. He knew that Ning Qingxue had recovered her memories. Otherwise, she wouldn't be like this. Yi Emo walked over and reached out for her, gently hugging her. "Qingxue, it really is me." Yi Emo suddenly was full of satisfaction. His endless killing intent was gone the moment he put his arms around Ning Qingxue. It was his greatest satisfaction to be able to meet Ning Qingxue in that immeasurable ocean. He even thanked those Japanese men for giving him the radar. If it hadn't been for that radar, he still wouldn't be close to finding Ning Qingxue. "Yi Emo, it really is you?" Ning Qingxue stood up excitedly and hugged Yi Emo tighter. In that moment, she was so blissful that her heart was about pounding like crazy. There was only one voice in her mind, and it said, "This is real. This really is Yi Emo." The dream was so real that she couldn't believe it. In that instance, they only had each other in their hearts. Everything else was extraneous. Or perhaps it was more than just having each other in their arms and feeling their existence. No words could express what they were feeling at that moment. Only embracing each other could make them both really feel how real it was. Time seemed to have stopped then. The ocean waves paused. Other than the old diesel engine on the fishing ship that was still working, everyone looked dumbly at Yi Mo and Ning Qingxue. No one on the pirate ship realized how Yi Mo had jumped a few hundred meters to get to Ning Qingxue. They were just thinking, these two dare to embrace each other in front of all these guns like nothing. Are they dumb? However, it was just a moment. Then the pirates woke up. What made them angry was that a goddess-like woman, such as Ning Qingxue, was in another man's arms when they didn't even get to touch her. Kill him. Sean was the first to react and pointed at Yi Mo with fury. In his eyes, Ning Qingxue was his. How dare someone embrace his woman? Eden was still nervously controlling the ship, trying to move out of their attack range, but all of a sudden noticed that the cannon had stopped attacking. It was a brief moment of silence. Immediately after, he saw Yi Mo hugging a white-clothed woman. That woman was from the Skull pirate ship. Eden rubbed his eyes to make sure he was seeing right. Is this woman his wife? Was she also taken by the pirates? How come the pirates still haven't attacked him yet? Eden was very confused. Bang! The sound of a sniper rifle shook Eden. No, the Chinese man who saved him was being attacked by the pirates. It was the sound of a sniper rifle. Eden got worried. So much that he forgot the fact that Yi Mo was on the Skull ship. Yi Mo raised his hand and instantly caught the bullet. Then he looked at Ning Qingxue and said, "Qingxue, are these people harassing you?" Ning Qingxue didn't feel any of Yi Mo's killing intent. She was already immersed in Yi Mo's arms. Nothing else mattered. She hadn't even heard what Yi Mo had said, nor realized that Yi Mo had caught a bullet. Did I miss? The sniper on Sean's ship looked at his hand in disbelief. There was no way for him to miss at such short range, but the fact was that he did. He couldn't have possibly imagined that Yi Mo had caught his bullet. Yi Mo was fine. So, other than his shot having missed, what else could it be? Just when he wanted to shoot a second time, Yi Mo had already placed Ning Qingxue behind him. You won't need to shoot twice. I will send you into the sea. Then Yi Mo kicked, and the sniper, who then was getting ready for his second shot, was thrown in the air and into the sea. However, before he had landed, he was already dead. Sean reacted. He had his projectile skills and was much more proactive than his companion. It was a 20 meters distance. How had that man managed to get there in an instant, and also bring a woman with him? Then he remembered what happened before. Yi Mo had been on that fishing boat 300 meters away from the ship, but he somehow got there. Before he could think these two things through, Yi Mo kicked away more than 20 pirates. All of them were thrown into the sea, and no one could even struggle. This was only in a matter of a second or two. Looking at the remaining 7 or 8 people on the ship, Sean started to sweat. He knew he was done. He had offended someone he shouldn't have offended. His men couldn't even fire. They were almost all dead. He didn't bother to shout fire. He knew there was no difference whether he did it or not. Qianbei, have mercy. Luckily, Sean understood a bit of Chinese culture. Yi Mo couldn't understand what he was saying, and while he spoke, he knocked out another 4 pirates who had tried to fire. Including Sean, there were only 3 pirates left on the ship. Ning Qingxue was woken up because of this. She looked up and found she was still in Yi Mo's arms, but not on the same ship. Ning Qingxue was aware of Yi Mo's power. She scanned Sean's ship. She saw the 3 remaining pirates looking at Yi Mo in terror, as though he was a demon from hell. Yi Mo's expression sunk as he said coldly, "You wanted to attack my woman, yet you still beg for mercy. Keep dreaming." Then he kicked the 2 remaining pirates. Now Sean was the only one left. Ning Qingxue heard Yi Mo's words and blushed a little, although Yi Mo's words were dominating. She didn't feel annoyed at all. Instead, she felt warm inside, but immediately she thought about the fact that she wasn't his woman yet. A few hundred meters away, Eden finally managed to control his ship and looked up, catching Yi Mo kick those ferocious pirates one by one into the sea. Eden was stunned and uttered, "Oh my God." He guessed that Yi Mo was no ordinary person for daring to search for his wife alone on a fishing boat. But Yi Mo's power far exceeded his expectations. How could he be this ferocious? Those ravenous beasts like pirates were like toys in his wake. They couldn't even so much as raise their guns. Eden was no idiot. He immediately wondered, when did Yi Mo leave the fishing boat? It seemed to have been at the same time as a cannon landed on the boat. He had still been worrying for Yi Mo, yet this Chinese person had already appeared on one of the Skull ships. The next time he saw him again, the Chinese guy had appeared with his woman on the other ship. God, this is too magical. Eden couldn't understand how Yi Mo had moved around like that, but he sure was in a good mood now. No wonder he'd told him to steer the ship to the place of the incident. He had nothing to fear. Comprehending that, Eden directed the fishing boat towards the pirate ship. Sean had wanted to pull out his gun as he hesitated countless times, but eventually he didn't dare to. He knew that the person in front of him had left him alive not due to mercy. This person must have something to ask of him. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.